so excited.
Talk now.
I'm tempted to pre-order the European version just to get that.
Can you hear us?
I don't think it's picking up any more from the. I don't think it's picking up from the mic.
Ooh, really?
Like something's coming in, but
I'll have to check.
it's not picking up from the mic.
Check time.
Yeah.
You know, how about now?
We have a
It's not
little
jumping really when I'm talking.
Technical difficulties.
No, that's definitely coming from somewhere else.
This is the
That's when-
podcast.
That's when the
Are you
words
sure?
start flying, dude.
Okay, there. I think that might be it.
Top of my head, bottom of my feet, everything in between.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, Elliot's finishing up a recording, so
Alright,
give her a
Next
few minutes.
time, I'll make sure we have enough time to like actually chat on air about
1 second.
lives and stuff. Oh, yep, maybe.
1 second. Elliot is currently wrapping up his.
Yeah.
Give us just 1 minute.
So the funny thing about this stream is that we intended to be here on here earlier, and then
And
you
then
know,
what are we? Late. Let's freaking go.
well, we're not late, but we're about the time we
So
normally
can
start.
you hear anything from the game itself?
I have no idea. We have to reset everything because the camera wasn't showing up, the mic
Everything
wasn't
got-
show up, everything was
Everything
disconnected.
was unplugged, and then
let me take a look.
got messed up.
So we've been just
Don't worry, I need to grab you some tissue anyway.
yeah, we're tech troubles, yay. I don't remember what I had for dinner yesterday night. So we're just kind of seeing, trying to get things going. That was a good game. We should play that on stream. Can you hear this?
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure all of our stuff. Oh wow, her face looks messed up. I'm just trying to figure out how all the stuff's working because our. Again,
All things were not plugged in or unplugged or something happened and just nothing was working or at least feeding in properly. So we're got,
Did you get another one on this stuff?
well, Madeline says she unplugged and replugged everything in, so
Why should you do that?
because it wasn't showing up.
Your microphone is now working. It wasn't working, but now it is.
Okay, well that's good.
Shout out to this happening every single time.
Yeah.
Hear this? Let's go, gamers.
That's what it is. We are Let's Going In, we're gamers. Everything working?
Just making sure. I don't know why Elgato's not showing up on PC Cam, but
Slay.
it's showing up on.
Fine, we mostly just need the gameplay one anyways.
Madeline just hugs really close to me.
Anyways, Evie, tell us about your sickness.
I'm sick.
You just talk, put the mic closer to your face.
Alright, you're good. You can jump.
I'm sick.
Thanks.
No, it started with like, you ever have it where you're going in and your throat feels kind of sore in the morning and you're like, please let this just be the air is dry and I'm not like catching a cold. And no. So that was the day we had D&D, which we then played D&D for 8 hours.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Mind
Everyone said they had a
you.
good time. So
I had a great time.
I was running 5 dragons. So, no, 6 dragons. Because there's 4 chromatic ones and then 2 of them were allies. So, yeah, we had 6 dragons in the field at the same time. And that actually went pretty well, all things considered.
Simply phenomenal.
That's also one of those fights where you gotta, like, not play as intelligently as these creatures should be playing, because otherwise the entire party is dead, like, 20 times over. You know?
True.
If they're all like, you know what, let's all gang up on this one person. Then people would die. But anyway. So
Yeah,
I tried to do it in stages so no one
and because we
gruesomely
moved
died.
our stuff downstairs to use for D&D. Like, we unplugged some stuff up here downstairs.
So-
Everything was unplugged, so then nothing worked. So when we just plugged it back in, and it was like, actually, I hate you. I'll
Yeah.
never work. And we were like, slay! And then Elliot was recording with his friend, so I think they must have rescheduled from another date to today. So we were like, Elliot, can we stream? Elliot, can we stream, please?
So
Please?
yeah, so essentially I
Will
did that
you
for
try?
8 hours, and then I went and like the next
And
day
I feel
my
like at some point I gotta poop.
do you want me to explain my sickness or not?
I do, but I also want to interrupt you every 2 sentences.
And so the next day, still very sore throat. It was a rough day. I still went to church, so good on me. And then, like, the day after that is, like, after you get past the sore throat stage, is really sucks, but then, like, after that goes away is when then your nose just starts running all the time. So you're like, great. So instead of it hurting to talk / breathe through your throat, now it's just, I can't breathe through my nose. And it's constantly running. So, not sure which is worse. Both suck. That was all day yesterday. Still a lot of that today. So I took a shower to try and clear that out. Not sure how long it's gonna last. But, yeah, we're gonna try and... I think we're literally in the last chapter of the game. So we're gonna try and beat the game tonight.
Do you want to see my Alistair painting before we start? He's done, except for the background.
Yeah, mine finished your Alistair. Very cool. Very nice.
Ching, 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 so a coffee cup.
He does.
Yup. I have no
The thing is, though, let's be honest, though, he's probably not drinking coffee.
No, that's freaking bourbon, baby! Whiskey. And I have all these tiny paintings I want to do. But tonight I have to work on something for my big girl job. Boo!
That wasn't what I was thinking either, but that also is a very
What were you thinking? Tea?
No, he's a cannibal.
Oh, blood.
Yes!
I was thinking alcohol. Well, it's not red. It's like brown, so I was just thinking hard liquor.
Everything in his, like, area is red.
Getting drunk. Well, that was like brown. Anyway, so I'll be like off screen slightly, maybe.
Maybe.
But
She'll
I'm
say
excited.
that, and then we'll
I
start
told
playing
her
the
I
thing, and then
I'll
she'll
be
be like...
What? Huh?
So,
Connor.
yeah, as I remember correctly, we actually didn't end at the end of a chapter like we
My dad
normally
was
do.
like, I'll come watch, and I was like, "What's happening?" He's like, "Oh, we're trying to figure out who is android and who is an android and who is a human." I was like, "No, the problem is we know who's the androids and who are the humans. The issue is, do you see them as two different species?"
The issue is they're trying to kill each other, but...
Yeah, I was like, we actually, funnily enough, we actually know who the androids are.
well, now
The
we
hard part is making them look like humans.
Well, now we're just... Well, to give a recap for those who weren't here for the last one. So we have our 3 protagonists. All 3 are now deviants, The other 2 kind of just, like, jumped that cliff, and Connor just kind of stared at it for a while, and he's like, okay.
Streamed in like 8 years.
So our last one was the Jericho mission. Very fun. That was also the stream where I, for some reason, was only messing up on Connor's QuickTime events, so I got him shot like 4 times, but he's trucking, so we're fine. He's deviant now, so we have everyone on the same side. All 3 of our protagonists have come together again. So this is immediately following that. So Jericho, the android's major hideout, was, like, bombed, pretty much. So they're hiding out in a church.
DJ said my body is ready. Let's freaking go.
Your body will never be
Can
ready.
we have DJ in the chat tonight?
DJ in the
I hope
chat.
he shows up. That'd be super slay.
That'd be
Anyways,
great. I would
Back
appreciate
to
it.
your description.
And so Jericho got bombed. Their safe haven got bombed. People died. Nothing. No one important, really. I mean, well, Lucy died. I felt bad about her
Lucy was
dying.
cool.
Lucy was cool, but I didn't get any of the characters killed. Even though, again, I missed like one QuickTime event and got Connor shot twice. But he's just tough. So he just takes it and keeps on going. Which, to be fair, in his last chapter, I also got him shot twice, and he still kept going. But Android perks, I guess. So. But I did get Marcus and all his NPCs out. We got Kara and all her NPCs out, and we got Connor out. So everyone's alive. We're in a church. There's definitely symbolism there, but we're in an abandoned church. That's where we're taking stock of everything. Marcus went to go and have a chat with his human dad, Carl, who is just like the wisest, nicest character in this entire game. Carl's awesome. And so he's trying to, find direction, and he's going to determine what they're going to do next. Now that they've, been flushed out in this whole revolution, civil war, whatever the heck's going on right now, it only seems to be getting worse and more tense, and androids getting shot in the street sort of vibes, and Yeah, we're gonna check in with all our characters because we're playing as Marcus, but we are gonna go talk to Connor and Kara and see what they're up to, and also to the rest of Marcus's NPCs and see what's going on with them. I like that we've ticked off North so many times and we're still somehow on the lover track with her, which is really impressive, all things considered. I guess your standards are low. So we're gonna pick up with that and we're gonna see how far we can go. So anyway, here we are. We're with Marcus. I like that the camera's kind of unsteady because he's kind of unsteady right now. Yeah. Apologize to Kara. Decides Connor's fate. That doesn't sound ominous at all.
Connor in the head.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that choice in a minute, but
Shoot him in the face. Make him
I guess we're just gonna talk to everyone right now. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna talk to people right now. So Simon, who rejoined us in the last chapter, he did not die. Oh, look, there's the Tracy's in the background. They survived.
My boy Simon.
Yeah. He is definitely a choice to, like, live or die, and so I'm glad he doesn't die.
You, Marcus. You're the only one who can lead us. Wherever you need to go, we'll follow you.
I like Simon. He's cool. He's like the mediator between, like, North and Josh, who are both honestly a bit extreme in my opinion, so I like him. But again, he's really a choice, because in order for Simon to survive, you have to choose. Again, this is why I like that the paths affect each other. In order for Simon to survive, you have to, in Connor's path, choose not to follow the trail and find him. Otherwise, you find him and kill him, as, you know, your mission is. And there's Kara. Kara and Alice, who we just figured out in the last chapter. Alice is indeed an android. She's not a human. So, but, you know, they're still mom and daughter, so, you know, they're alive. Traumatized, but alive.
I thought you'd be safe staying with us. I was wrong. You need to leave the city while you still can.
Getting Alice away from here is all that matters now. We have to catch the last bus. We might still have a chance to cross the border.
So that's what Kara's, because all the characters are going to have one more chapter.
Marcus. Save our people.
So, yeah. Every character is going to have one more chapter. So we talked to Kara. So she's going to be, obviously, her next chapter is going to be, like, her trying to figure out, what to do about, getting across the border, because they're trying to escape to Canada where there aren't any android laws. So, here's North. Oh, look, there's a Jerry in the back.
Nice.
How many of us survived the attack?
A few hundred? Maybe more if you count those hiding all over the city. If you hadn't triggered the bomb, we'd all be dead.
What's your system status?
I'm okay. Bullet didn't hit any bicomponents.
Because she got shot in the last one and we had to go back to rescue her.
Trying to save me, Marcus. You have to think of our people first.
No.
Nothing else matters.
Okay, goodbye.
You were part of the people.
They say they don't want to take any risks with deviants. So they're rounding our people up and taking them to the camps for extermination. In a few hours, we're going to be the only ones left.
In a few hours, it'll all be over. We'll have changed the world, or the world will have destroyed us. You have to make a choice, Marcus. Whatever you choose, we will follow you. I love you, Marcus.
Yeah, so yeah, we're on the lower path with her. We had to, I think we had to save her. We had to save Josh. Simon just got out on his own, and then, like, we had to regroup with everyone else. Okay, I think. Yeah, let's go talk to Josh and then we'll talk to Connor. And look at all the Jerrys.
If it weren't for you, I'd be dead. Thanks to you, I might see her people free one day. You and I haven't always agreed, but I know we're fighting for the same thing. Whatever you decide, I'm with you, Marcus.
So here's the only thing I'm confused by. He says you and I haven't always disagreed, but Josh is generally a more pacifist character. So when have we disagreed in this case?
I know.
Like, I don't honestly know. And then we have Connor in the corner over there, which you almost can't even recognize him because he really blends in that outfit. Because he's one of the characters that has more prominent blue in his color scheme.
It's my fault. The humans managed to locate Jericho. I was stupid. I should have guessed they were using me. I'm sorry, Marcus. I can understand if you decide not to trust me.
You're one of us now. Your place is with your people.
There are thousands of androids at the CyberLife assembly plant. If we could wake them up, they might join us and shift the balance of power.
You want to infiltrate the CyberLife tower? Connor, that's suicide.
They trust me. They'll let me in. If anyone has a chance of infiltrating CyberLife, it's me.
If you go there, they will kill you.
There's a high probability. But statistically speaking, there's always a chance for unlikely events to take place.
Be careful.
I'm not getting any work done. I watch the game.
I know.
How can I not? Connor's like your bestie. You sit there and you're like,
Sorry, my hands are being sore.
Hear
So,
his voice,
yeah.
you know, a long time friend, you're like,
So
like me hearing Claw's voice after
exactly.
25 years.
So
Sometimes
to
I
give a little
cried.
also for like anyone who doesn't remember flying. So essentially what happens, so like Connor's been like, you know, he's been on CyberLife under like payroll essentially. And he's he didn't intentionally do it, but one thing we learned early in the games, again, I love how you can find the little things in other paths, but early in Kara's path, we learned that all androids have trackers until they become deviant and their trackers just suddenly stop working. So, before he deviated, Connor was looking for Jericho, because if he didn't find it, they were going to destroy him, essentially, because then he'd be a faulty product. He doesn't have the option to fail.
I'm leaning. I love Connor.
I know, I like that as soon as he deviates, he gets a little bit more loose in his body language, which is, you know, nice little subtle storytelling. But so he went and found Jericho, he found Marcus, but Marcus, essentially he was already on the ledge of becoming a deviant anyway, which is why, you know, like, Hank helps him in the police station, because he knows that that's where he is. And he's like, I'm just gonna give you the extra push, you can get there yourself. But, because that's that kind of, he's been learning from Hank this whole time, kind of, essentially how to be human. And so, like, he finds Marcus, and he does choose to deviate, but then as soon as he deviates, he realizes, like, the FBI and CyberLife were following me this whole time, because essentially the reason I take it is that because he was still a machine, because he still had that software kind of blinding him to certain things, he wasn't aware they were tracking him, and that he led them right to Jericho, because only an android can find Jericho. So, yeah, he did lead them right to their doorsteps, and then does what he can to help them get out, which is why I think he takes on this whole suicide mission. It's kind of like a redemption thing, like, sorry I got so many of you guys killed unintentionally, let me go and try and fix this, you know, at the potential risk of my own life. But then again, Connor's honestly a very reckless character, all things considered. He's very single-minded when he gets to certain thing, which is why I think he works really well with Hank, because he's equally stubborn. So, like, that's where our next mission is going to be with Connor, is we're going to infiltrate the CyberLife Tower. And hopefully they won't kill us. Because, you know, going in alone like that, definitely not, no way that's going to go badly. Got the guy dying in the corner right there, just looking at that. So
Connor.
so that's what Connor's mission's gonna be. But now he's a deviant too. So I just like the fact that he's just like so apologetic about it, where he's just like, I'm so sorry, like, cause I still think that he's the one who's like most like, because he's the one who's the most advanced in the social programming area. He's the one who has like the most depth of emotional characters. And I like the fact that he's just, like, this brings, before we're going to get moving in a minute, but I just want to bring up one thing, which I always think is, I don't know why there's an option, trust or don't trust in this case.
Hey man.
Because the don't trust option is you shoot him in the head. Why? Marcus's whole thing is about liberating Android. Why would you go and a deviant that at best is 2 hours in, like, it's maybe been 2 or 3 hours since he deviated, and you're going to shoot him?
My man's
Why? Not to mention, again, Connor's the most advanced android that exists right now in terms of like everything, from combat abilities to intelligence to everything.
Marcus is like the earlier version of
Yeah,
something like
'cause
Connor, and then Connor is the more advanced version of Marcus.
Because Connor's the RK800, Marcus is an RK200. But the biggest thing is like if Connor remains a machine, you can literally get every advantage on Marcus's side, and Connor can still beat you. Like,
he's a combat
that's how.
droid.
Yeah, he's extremely intelligent. He's very fast. He's very, very durable. He's the best in combat, and he's like emotionally manipulative, which is one of his most dangerous abilities and underspoken abilities. So he can literally like beat the whole revolution by himself almost. If you take the full machine path, which maybe we'll do that at some point, just for the heck of seeing how that plays out.
And there's also, like, he's, what, 900? 800?
800.
And he's 200? That means there's other androids in between them.
Yeah.
There's other models that they could theoretically be using as well, along with Connor.
So, like, again, Connor's, like, he's a, like, the developers jokingly like nickname him like the Terminator because that's how that's what they related his role very similarly to. He's obviously got a lot more emotional stuff going on than that. But well, no, because the Terminator.
I'm kidding.
He's like Terminator 2. Let's put it that way. But the whole thing, I just don't understand why you even have a choice with Marcus of like, hey, first of all, Marcus's whole thing is liberating the androids and helping them like break free of their programming, not blaming them for what they did as a machine, except for Connor, apparently, because you have the option of, if you don't trust, you just shoot him. And then they boot him back up and he tries to kill you later. So under what circumstances would everyone choose not to trust, especially because Connor's one of your protagonists? I wonder if the people who chose don't trust thought it was just like, oh, well, you don't trust and Connor just stays behind, not you don't trust and you shoot him in the head. Not even sure where Marcus gets a gun. But I do like the fact that Connor goes and points out, like, I understand that I was hunting you, like, a few hours ago, and, again, we only see so many...
Sorry about that one.
We only see so many moments. I headcanon that, again, that the revolution doesn't take place, even though there's time sense that says it takes place in, like, 4 days. I like to headcanon that it takes place over, like, a week or at least a number of weeks. So essentially Connor's doing a lot more than the cases we just see with Hank. So, you know, I don't think this whole thing would pop off as quickly as it does, realistically. So, but essentially he's been causing a lot of damage, and so I like the fact that the first thing he does when he becomes deviant is essentially apologize, being like, sorry about that. I did not realize what was going on there. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like a police dog in a way. It's like, from my perspective, I wasn't doing any harm.
Pork.
You know, he really is when you think about like how he just goes after things and just does not stop.
To the people?
Yes.
Oh,
Humans have decided to exterminate us. Our people are packed in camps right now, being destroyed. Time has come to make a choice. One that very well may determine the future of our people.
Also, the fact that you can still do revolution after this, but public opinion is supportive, so we'll march peacefully because we're going for the best ending where everyone's alive. In the revolution, you have a high chance of everyone dying. We'll get into that later, but we're going to go and march.
I know you're all angry, and I know you want to fight back, but I assure you violence
is not the answer here. We are going to tell them peacefully that we want justice.
Oh well.
And if there's any humanity in there,
Why do we
North hates us.
Why do we even bother looking at North at this point?
Others will take our place and continue this fight. Are you ready to follow me?
I mean, I think that's honestly the stronger thing because an idea lingers. You know, even if they all die, that's the point. That someone else will come along and do something about it. If you all die in like in the revolution path of like destruction, then the humans are just justified in hating you and fearing you. You know. Not saying you don't defend yourself. Like I definitely think you still should defend yourself, but it's just like under what circumstances is that going to end well? Okay, so.
And what I'm doing on my computer is...
So I don't know where that... I don't know what that is. I wonder if this is if you get Marcus killed. Because you can't get him killed in the previous level.
Connor.
That one I assume is if Carl dies. Not sure what that is. I'm guessing, again, these are the options if Marcus dies. Or potentially if Connor or Kara dies. Because they wouldn't be in that scene either then. So who knows what those are.
Maybe North dies too.
Maybe North dies too.
I'd love to know.
And then we're gonna choose priest.
I
like the word like spare Connor. I'm like, because why would you want to kill him?
You shoot Connor in the face.
He's the greatest asset you can have. Again, most of the deviants, the problem with the reason that they have issues defending themselves is that they only know whatever they were programmed for. The reason Marcus is able to make such a big splash is because he's one of the arcade prototypes. AKA, they were the most autonomous androids made because they essentially had the ability to imagine things. They could think for themselves. They could look at a situation and picture what could happen or what had happened and make decisions off of that. We see this all the time when Marcus does his parkour moves. We see this when Connor looks at a crime scene. But that's something that like the other androids can't do. That's why even if Marcus has never fought a day in his life, he can look at other people and picture how to do it and figure out how to do it. I mean, all androids can do it eventually. Point is that he can do it faster. He can learn faster. And that's what also makes like Connor so good at pretty much everything. He can pretty much look at a situation and pick it up and know it, you know? That's what also makes him a very dangerous enemy. I'm assuming this is if you get him killed, or... Because this is Connor's flowchart. So I'm guessing this is either you get him killed, or this might be if we chose not to deviate. I don't know. But this is a whole nother flowchart here. So there must
be like a big long path.
Yeah, so there's obviously another thing to be... There's obviously something else...
For some reason, whenever it's his picture just does not look like him.
Because
Marcus does, but that one really does. Like, his actor looks like him. That picture in specific.
Because Marcus is the one that for the model, I think they just literally took the picture like, yep, good to go. The other two, they did make them look a little different, but the box art stuff is from, at least the promotional material is from when they just took the actors and, you know, put them in the art before the characters themselves became, you know, what they are.
Marcus is
so anyway,
like
Night of Soul done. And now we have this lady who's, you know...
I hate her. She's so annoying and mean.
She has, like, all this...
Oh, is that the president? I thought you were talking about the news lady. I wasn't even looking.
All electronic communications are restricted.
I hate her too, Craig.
Yeah, well, I mean, you read all the articles and everyone put, like, all the magazine articles I've been reading talk about how corrupt she probably is. Like, CyberLife definitely have her in the back pocket, like... When are we ever gonna have like a female president in a game that isn't a total
cool and awesome,
total jerk? But then again, when's the last time you saw a president in a game that wasn't a total jerk?
Why do you distrust the government? Have you ever played any video game or watched TV ever?
Anyway. Okay, let's see.
Has the leader of the deviants been apprehended?
The deviant that is known as Marcus has not been located yet, but we will soon track it down and
Noticing,
she
again,
has a weird accent.
She does have a weird accent, but the fact that she goes and like still calls them it's mean.
That's ridiculous.
That's
You're
it.
Ridiculous.
Next question, please.
Really? That's all you got? Okay. Public opinion. Let's hear.
Public opinion seems to have become increasingly favorable to the deviants. particularly since they've adopted a peaceful approach. How do you feel about this?
Public opinion is one thing, the security of the state is another. These deviants are dangerous, and my highest priority is to protect the American people.
Please.
Let's ask about
What's
Cyberlife.
gonna happen to Cyberlife? Will androids be banned definitively?
We're working very closely with CyberLife to neutralize all deviants. I won't make any comments about anything else until we've dealt with the android question.
Madam President!
Is it true that a large number of deviants are still on the loose?
We don't have the full reports at this time, but if so, I can assure you they will soon be apprehended and destroyed.
Why does she talk like that? It really bothers me.
That will be all.
Yeah, she has a weird accent. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but
hey, I think politicians are stinky and dumb because they're always mean.
So we're starting with Connor's thing. All right. I thought we started with Cars, but we're starting with Connor's. So now he has to just pretend he's not alive and hopefully not get caught.
Connor model 313-248-317. I'm expected.
Slay.
Identification successful.
Go ahead.
Did I ever tell you the thing about his serial number?
It's an anagram for Connor?
No. They asked Brian Deckard, who's his actor, to just come up with a random number.
Yeah.
And so he came up with I believe it was the first three numbers are the Detroit area code.
Hi, friends.
The second three numbers are like his area code where he lives, and then the third numbers are his birthday, I think.
Nice.
I don't remember which. It's one of those three. I can't remember the first two, but he just came up with random numbers, and he's like, well, I don't think anyone, because he's like, and I think they thought I was really clever because they didn't know the area code that they were in, and I'm just like, that's really funny. But they're like, can you guys come up with random numbers for this character?
My phone number would be the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, you need 3 sets of numbers, and then, like, whatever the serial number is.
Follow me. We'll escort you.
Thanks. But I know where to go.
Maybe. But I have my orders.
That's like so Joker from Persona 5, the sleeve thing.
Yes. Well, that's why I said, like, I like that you can tell that, like, again, that's why I relate him to, like, a police dog, is, like, whenever he's doing anything, Connor's, like, very fidgety, because he's programmed to be always thinking, always acting, always chasing something. So he's very fidgety. So you see him always fixing his sleeves, you see him constantly playing with his coin.
They programmed a robot with ADHD.
Pretty much.
The most horrible thing imaginable.
He's mostly fixing his sleeves right now because he doesn't have his coin anymore because Hank took it. But that's why you always saw him doing coin tricks. That's why you always see him rubbing his hands together, because he's very fidgety. Which is because he's essentially like, an attack dog.
That's weird to have people just on display in the hallway. Hey man, that's kind of weird.
Yep. Freaky.
This place is weird and also dumb. Oh, and they're alive. That's way worse.
Of course they are.
Agent 54, level 31.
Those are words.
Access authorized.
Level negative 41. Like, my boy can hack this with his brain.
Just by looking at it. Okay. So we're essentially going to do like what Marcus does and see if we can have I missed that last one, but I'm like, yeah, I was headshot. I was killing him anyway.
Isn't that scary? He can do that like instantly, yo.
Please indicate your identity and destination.
Agent 54, level sub 49.
Voice recognition validated.
Again,
Access off.
like, that's why only Connor can do this. He's like just a Mission Impossible all in one package. Again, he heard the guy's voice once, mimics it perfectly, and goes exactly where he needs to go.
Isn't that scary? That's
Yeah.
like he could beat us.
He'd be
all.
very dangerous if he wasn't like a deviant at this point. Okay, so now we're with Kara, but
I ran out of timer.
yeah.
Are you alright? I'm really cold.
So now we know she's the android, we can just turn her settings off so she doesn't feel cold anymore.
You'll feel better now.
Why would you leave that on? Suffer,
Well,
child.
because the whole
Freeze
point
to
is that, like, if you look at the ad for the kid androids, they're like, oh, they can actually behave. Oh, we have someone say, hi, friends. Hello.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was DJ or not.
I don't either. I didn't even notice. Ooh, random gun. And dead bodies. Yay.
But, oh, Android bodies, stuff like that. So do you think Alice knows she's...
Watching, while I re-binge, Final Fantasy, was that 15?
14.
14?
And I think about it, I was like,
Roman numerals.
my 3 years of Latin.
Final Fantasy 14 is the one on, that's the MMORPG, right?
The Memorg?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Is
the
it
one that's
15?
online.
LOL, yeah.
Okay, I was correct. And then 15's the one where they were an edgy boy band.
They're a boy band? Wait, is it a music game?
No, that's the one where they're all in black leather in a car.
They have a car. It's like Shadow the Hedgehog. Boy band that breaks my heart.
That's the only one I want to play at some point because I love that style.
That they're all
Yeah, see, it's an emo boy band road trip. That's what I'm saying.
I know.
I didn't even play the game.
For real.
Okay, I need to pay attention to this, so you're gonna have to talk to the chat.
Emo boy band road trip. That's
So I got
really
a
fun.
stealth here.
I only saw in GameStop they had like Final Fantasy VII maybe remake. My question is like, is it kind of like Kingdom Hearts where it's one big really
No, it's
confusing
like
thing?
Fire Emblem.
Or is it? I was gonna say, is it like Fire Emblem where it's like a long thing with little things in it, or is it like Legend of Zelda where you think it's connected and everyone thinks they're disconnected? Focus, best of luck. If you play, Final Fantasy 15, play the full version.
Yeah, I got the whatever Royal Edition or whatever it is.
Well, let's do this stealth section first. Put a pin in it.
Is there anyone else?
We'll be right back to this topic.
Hurry up, get in.
Because this is a little bit.
Yeah.
We can get shot in the head.
So all the androids are getting rounded up.
Scary.
Okay, yeah, I think we're good to go. There. Oh, that's Luther.
Bestie.
Yo, you better believe we were helping him.
Mara, stop being a wimp.
He's our bro. He's also like saved us so many times. Of course we're saving Luther.
Luther's my bestie. Okay,
let's go.
We're saving him or we're dying.
Literally.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
This is a mistake. I'm human. I just want to go home. My wife is expecting me, and we're going to...
Got orders to check all civilians.
No. No! Please!
Also, that's just
I mean,
wrong.
really, what the heck? That's so...
How can you look at something begging for its life and just shoot it? Like, if it's aggressive in self-defense, sure, but it is begging for its life.
They want us to support?
Okay, those guys, wait for them to leave.
When you do that, I'm looking at more pictures of my children.
Oh, yeah, she's gonna hide underneath the car.
Smart.
Okay, brick.
A brick?
Well, bricks are incredibly useful weapons, honestly.
Well, I know that.
Come on.
Oh.
He hit him in the back of the neck. He's going down.
I love you, Luther.
Where's Alice?
She's hiding nearby.
Car, you
She's into her car.
We don't know
Jerry.
how to thank you.
Go before they see you.
I love the Jerrys. They're so cool.
Alice.
Luther! I thought you were dead.
He's doing pretty well for getting shot in the leg earlier.
Afraid I'd never see you again. I wanted to meet you at the terminal, but they caught me along the way.
What are the odds he just ripped out somebody else's leg?
Well, a lot.
That man's resourceful.
He's also. I think he's definitely a combat android, especially considering his size.
Yeah, it's like the fact
Most
that
of
he's
the
7'5".
Most of those androids do have self-healing systems. We know Connor does. That's why, as long as he doesn't take lethal damage, he can heal himself over time. That's why he's so hard to put down. And we know this because we've gotten him shot repeatedly.
Oops! Who did that?
Yeah. The best part was walking out of the police stations with like 2 bullet holes in your chest.
And you're like,
You're like, it's casual, guys. Don't worry.
The one time they ripped your heart out, and then you're walking around with like super blood all over you. Oh my god! It's really like.
They gave up. Why are you even doing the whole let's round them up thing? If you're not actually rounding them up, you're shooting them in the streets.
So like, how could this is like when you play Ultimate Alliance, you know, like Captain America Civil War vibes. And you're like, okay, one of these guys is that one. You're like, okay, I can see both ways. This one is like, no, obviously people bad, robot good. Like that's how this game is going.
Wait for that guy to turn around.
I'll be quiet.
Come on, turn around. Okay, we made it through that.
I'll wait for my pictures to upload.
A checkpoint. We have passports. It should be okay, but you never know.
We'll just play careful.
Take the detour and avoid the risk.
We're almost out of time. We could miss the bus.
Yeah, but it might be safer.
Can
No.
we take the detour? No, I don't know.
No, we're gonna be risky.
We're gonna be risky?
Yes, we're gonna be risky. We don't have the time. Honestly, I took too long in this slow section, but we're gonna take the time. Also, if we just play it cool, we should be fine.
I'm stressed.
I'm stressed too. I'm sweating so much.
They make me nervous.
Just stay calm, all right, Luther? Don't do anything until I say so.
And when I say
please. You do realize there's a curfew? Civilians aren't allowed out unless absolutely necessary. Where are you going?
My daughter slept over at a friend's house. We went to pick her up. We're on our way home now.
He suspects something.
Stay calm. Everything is fine.
You all right, little girl? She's trembling. Something wrong?
She's cold. We really have to get her home fast.
Sorry, miss, but we gotta be careful. There are deviants around and our guys are nervous. You should hurry on home.
Thanks.
Hey, wait a minute.
He knows, Kara.
shoot! Shoot him!
Don't do anything, Luther. You hear me?
They're gonna shoot. They're gonna kill Alice.
I love being psychic. I like that they give you the option to shoot 2 times in a row.
You dropped this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's just a little ragamuffin.
See,
looking
in that
for
case,
potatoes.
being like, if we had been trigger happy, we would have all died there.
Like Olivia being like, shoot him!
No, but that's the thing, is that she said, is that stay calm. And again, because they only see us as humans, the guy was just being decent and being like, hey, your kid dropped their mitten. Here's the back. Being trigger happy doesn't do it any good most of the time.
Something's happening in Detroit, Madam President.
Gasp. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to unpin our conversation or keep it pinned for a little bit?
I don't think anything major is happening, so if you would like to keep going,
it depends.
I'm thinking
like, this is
right now we're
very
just
cinematic. This is very movie-esque.
Music in this game is amazing.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I also like that we're seeing it from like the Chopper point of view, but I'm still like controlling Marcus.
Yeah. Like this is crazy because it is so dystopian movie vibes. You know what I'm saying?
It's way more hopeful than a dystopian movie, though.
That is true. Like this is very.
Like how the camera angle just changes as you go.
Yeah. So it's very good. It very much rings home like a movie that they would have done like super serious CGI, but like of like the Iron Man era. You know, where the CGI like at the time was like, oh my god, and now you're like, you can see where it aged, but it still like speaks, like the message speaks through.
Well, and also this one's definitely one.
We are already surrendered. We're literally just walking, yo.
Yeah, we're not doing anything. And more importantly, the press is right there watching us.
We don't want confrontation. We are protesting peacefully.
The freaking tank. That's wild. The riot unit. Anyways.
There's no turning back now.
We ask that you release all androids detained in camps and cease all aggression against us. We are peaceful. We will not resort to violence.
It's so hard. I'm trying to work so hard during this.
I
It's
told
so
you.
hard because all I want to do is watch.
People are free.
Me and my crew.
I mean, it's so hard to do anything during this because this is like the climax of the game.
Oh yeah, I remember when me and Melly watched this the first time and we just couldn't look away.
Like how they're aiming around the leaders?
Yeah.
So that they can't be like, well, we killed the leader. You know?
And you notice that Marcus did get shot. You can see it. He's gotten shot twice. You can see the...
Open fire on unarmed protesters?
Yeah, no, they're literally sitting.
But you see that Marcus already has already been shot twice.
Less than 100 meters away, and events are unfolding as we speak. We will continue to bring you live updates. Josh Douglas, Channel 16.
My question is, where did the name Joss come from versus Josh? You know?
Hold out. As long as we can.
So yeah, so Marcus is buying time. We're gonna go and try and get him some reinforcements. Ignore the bloodstains on the wall. So yeah, if you don't hack the camera, there's like a full SWAT team down here waiting for you if you don't remember to hack the camera first. It's one of the very few times in the game that Connor swears. You can make that mistake.
I would like to see that though.
Yeah, we'll do it on another playthrough.
Just his. I know you die instantly, but I'd just love to see.
No,
his.
you can get out of it. You just have to get all the quick time events. But again, Connor's a
That
one-man
might not
army.
be for us.
Connor's a one-man army, so like he can manage just fine.
Step back, Connor! And don't spare him!
Sorry, Connor. This bastard's your spitting image.
Yeah! Well, we are... Well, sorry, I need to wipe my hands. My hands are sweating so much from
No,
this.
this part of the game is so like...
So, yeah, first of all, also we have their confirmation essentially that, yeah, it's converting other androids and awakening them into deviants is not something that's unique to Marcus. It's just unique to the arcade line. So it means that, like, hypothetically, once he's deviant himself, Connor can do it too. Just he's not done it before. So I like how everything he's doing is just kind of like, well, I hope I can do this.
Yeah, he's like,
power of belief.
Power.
No, I mean, he knows Marcus can do it, and he's the, like, superior model to that, so there's no reason he couldn't. But I also like the fact that, like, yeah, you go in, and then you have, crap.
Shoot, dang it.
Well, also, does it tell you, we knew there were other caramels, because that was brought up in a previous conversation with Amanda. But, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate Hank didn't notice the difference. You think we would have known each other better by now. But he got picked up by another one of the machine ones, so that's going to be an issue.
We're stuck here now. What are we going to do?
We have to find tickets.
They're checking everyone. It won't take them long to find us.
So they're checking for body temperature, essentially. Because androids are, cooler. Well, they run cooler, obviously. They're machines. They won't get too hot. Their things will under.
You stole my little girl!
Yes.
Security! Over here!
It's a peel.
Don't do this, Todd. They'll kill us if you hand us in.
They'll kill her.
She took your daughter away. You couldn't live without her. So you bought yourself an android. A substitute little girl. You thought you could love her. That she would make you forget. But nothing could replace your child.
I just wanted to prove to myself that I was a good father. She was wrong.
And then you beat up the robot.
Fucked it all up all over again. She was right in the end. I didn't deserve them.
Womp womp.
I miss my little girl. You don't know how much I miss my little girl.
Is there a problem, sir?
No. I made a mistake. Sorry.
Ow, my knee.
Good luck.
And this, I think, is such a powerful moment for Alice. Because we know from the very beginning, when we first picked her up and we still believe she was human, the one thing she says, all she wanted was for him to love her. Mm-hmm. For them to be a happy family.
Yeah.
Because he has his own problems, they couldn't do that. So it's like, it's her little way of saying, I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially his like last moment to be like, hey, you did screw it up again, but you're at least unlike the last time where he again, tried to chase after his wife and child and made things worse. He's like, that's not going to change anything. So let me at least let this mother and child go. He's like, I'm not going to ruin their lives again. It's not like a full redemption.
Well, hopefully he got off drugs and stuff after he saw what happened this time.
But I like the fact that he goes and he's like, I'm not going to... Marcus, yep. I like that he's like, I'm not going to make the same stupid mistake again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oliver likes you. Is she yours?
Yes. She's adorable.
She's my baby.
That's it. Got the sandwiches. I called your mom. Let's get going before we miss our bus. You got the tickets, right?
Yes, honey, in my bag.
Great. Let's go then.
And we're gonna steal them.
Oops. Your loss, my find.
I'm sorry. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was sure.
Shit, I don't believe it.
I don't know what happened.
You can't have lost them. Did you have a good look in your bag?
They were in my backpack. The envelope must have fallen.
Fuck. Excuse me, you didn't happen to see a blue envelope somewhere, did you? It has our bus tickets in it and... Never mind.
No. Sorry.
What are we gonna do?
Go buy new ones because you got a human.
Again, yeah, that's why I'm like, again,
Find a safe place for all of
I feel for them, but they're human.
I'm so sorry, honey. I don't know what happened. They were right here.
Because, again, we will get shot on sight. They will not. They'll end up on this side of the border, but they'll ultimately be fine. That's why I'm like, this is like a moral choice, but at the same time, it's really not. Because, like, they will be fine. They can get through the checkpoint. They can buy new tickets. We are going to get shot on sight.
And you might be like, oh, here. And they'd be like, Android! And then you die instantly.
Exactly. Okay, where? Oh, sorry. I didn't notice the prompt says show tickets.
Got your tickets?
Yes, here they are.
Okay, go ahead.
They are going to be fine. Like, seriously. Like,
Probably.
the best the humans are going to have is an inconvenience.
Oh, the
and a
people
night
are
of
us.
stress. We are going to die if we stay here. Like, this is like, it may make you feel bad inside, and you do feel for them. I do feel for them. They're going to be fine.
Will they die because of us?
Of course not.
No, of course not.
Not to mention, Marcus isn't leading a revolution in this path, so it's not like there's actually any danger to them besides the gun trigger happy military. Like, if you're in
They're
Marcus,
just afraid
if
of
you're doing
androids.
if you're doing Marcus's like revolution path and like, you know, there is a nuke ending, then yeah, they would die. But otherwise, it's like, nah, you're gonna be fine. The worst that they'll have is an inconvenience. Okay, so
girl, don't feel bad. Get on that bus, girly.
yeah, get in on the bus, girly. Anyway, so I don't even remember where our pinned thing that we, because I see this thing says
We're
pinned.
talking about Final Fantasy 15. We're talking about all the Final Fantasies.
I did watch friends play all the DLCs, and that was what convinced me that I wanted to play the game at some point. It's one I want to play.
All the
I
clips
do
I've
own it.
seen are obviously they're on TikTok because I haven't seen it, so they are very much through the lens of whoever's posting. But I just see a lot of Cloud and Sephiroth.
See, we got shot
And their
repeatedly,
chemistry.
and we're still going. Man,
I don't actually know what's going on. I saw in the anime store they had the Cloud in like a dress.
that's
I was like,
Final Fantasy VII remake.
yeah, I was like, I want to know the context because he looks great in that dress. I do want to know context.
I do know the context to some extent there. It's the typical, like, Legend of Zelda, oh, you gotta pretend to be a girl in order to get into this location sort of vibes.
Like,
you know how it is.
but it's an old game though, isn't it? Isn't it got like?
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII
Oh.
was the one that really, like...
Is that the first one in 3D or something?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I remember, it's essentially was like for like what like Mario 64 was for a lot of other games. It was like the one that really broke into the public consciousness.
Sephiroth was giving in some of the clips. I saw some of the clips on TikTok of the Final Fantasy VII remake cutscenes. First of all, gorgeous, really great graphics, just very stunning.
Well, I think
but he's
they-
also giving very much Adam from Skate the Infinity.
Yeah.
And very much I was like, you seem to like men, but in a not normal way because this is a child.
Let's hope it buys us some time. I know it was not an easy decision to make, but I'm sure we're doing the right thing.
Again, that's why, so Joss agrees with the pacifist thing. That's why he's like, when he's like the whole, I know we haven't always seen eye to eye. I'm like, dude, we've seen eye to eye in like every situation.
It's actually only been in your eyes.
We've only seen eye to eye. Now
I've
we're
never broken
and also
eye contact from
the
you once.
the parallels of our first mission in Jericho, lighting the barrels. We still got the dang lighter in our coat. Who knows where he got?
I like the shots in your jacket. I think that's cool.
Well, that's the thing. He got shot twice, but again, unless you hit a vital like component on an android, they can keep going. As long as you don't hit anything that's like crucial to remain running.
He got shot in the head and he was fine.
Well, I mean, he was lucky because it didn't quite hit him in like the most crucial place. Like, he also has again the whole will to survive thing.
Found what you asked for.
Okay, we'll need that in a minute. I'm gonna light this barrel first.
Anyways, back to working on my PowerPoint.
Yeah, do it while you can.
But which, you said you had Final Fantasy 15?
I have the royal version. I think I might have a steelbook edition because I just collect steelbooks and I think they look cool. But so our flag, little flag. But and I have the royal edition. I have another edition. I might have like I have a few editions of Final Fantasy 15 because for some reason it goes for super cheap now. I don't know why.
Just a lot
maybe
of it,
maybe just excessive versions, or maybe it's like Persona 5, where it's like the original Persona 5.
Any of us were killed.
This guy's got PTSD.
Could have been me. I'm scared. I don't want to shut down.
Maybe like Survivor's Guild too.
Yeah. Let's...
We're here because we never want to feel that fear again. Because we're more than what they say. That's what our people died for, right? That's why we're here.
Yeah, calm him down. No, I'm assuming it's like Persona 5, where since there's like a lot, since it originally came out on PS3, then PS4, then PS5, and then there's a special edition, and you know the royal edition. I'm assuming that that's the same thing they had with Final Fantasy 15, where like there were just so many editions that the previous editions started going down in price.
That makes sense. So there are 15 versions of the game.
Yeah, from what I understand, Final Fantasy is much like Fire Emblem, where some games take place in the same universe. They're all loosely connected with the same batch of rules.
But do they still use the same protagonist?
No. That's what I'm saying. It's like Fire Emblem in that regards.
Because I know Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts crossover.
Okay, which one you want to do? Equality, alive, free. Let's go alive.
Sounds good. Sorry, I'm currently clicking on a ton of photos.
We are alive. Guy really nailed that public opinion.
Don't worry, I've already gotten 62 slides.
Okay, check soldiers' positions.
Because in
support our people.
Kingdom Hearts, I think it was like Leon was like the main guy you were always looking for. Then there was Aerith.
And the funny thing, his name isn't actually Leon. I don't believe.
That's funny. And
I think it's actually Squall.
That's actually very.
Humans have no pity for those who are different.
Yeah, but that hasn't changed.
Yeah, they're not pity for other humans.
I like that Marcus brings this up in the previous conversation where he's like, "Yeah, they've been fighting each other for a long time. We're going on an uphill battle." But I also like the fact that it's not said as a negative thing. It's just pointing out the hill is very tall, but it was before too, and crazier things have happened. You know.
Yeah. So is Cloud more of an edgelord protagonist, or like in the clips I saw of the 7
He's
remake,
a mercenary.
He was like soft boy protagonist. And I was like, what the heck? And then, struggling a boss fighting Final Fantasy 14 just doesn't have a good rep because they were maybe 15. It's hard to see because of the background. Because they released incomplete, but you had to download the DLCs to get everything, not bonus content. That's a pain. You have to like download it just to complete the. That's so. You know what that is? That's so Pokemon right now. Scarlet and Violet, like they're like it's DLC, but it's really just the end of the game.
I don't know anything about.
Start that sentence over. You're like,
that's how my brain works, and you know, you don't want to be living in here, but so there's soldiers in the back, so I don't know, again, anything about Final Fantasy. I know the basic knowledge from essentially, like, just general, like, video game zeitgeist, and so I only know like the bare basics. But from what I understand, Final Fantasy 15 was the first to include an action system, like an action combat instead of like turn-based combat.
Was it always turn-based?
No, not. Well, it wasn't always, but it was for the most part. Or like Final Fantasy 14 was an online like game, like one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
And so 15, so that's why I give like 15 I think is more a case of Pokemon X and Y, where they're changing the system so much, they're upgrading so much that it comes out incomplete. And man, do I wish we had a Pokemon Z. I wouldn't have even cared that X and Y were incomplete if Z existed, because then at least they could have given us the complete version of Kalos.
Hey, it's this jerk. Hate you.
Hate this guy.
You should shoot him in the head.
I'm glad Hank punched him because he has such a punchable face.
Yeah, my word. I won't try anything.
Don't go. It's a trap. They want to get you out in the open. Don't go, Marcus.
It is a trap. And
Yeah,
therefore, I'm going to go.
We do get Legends Kalos later. I am cautiously optimistic. Okay, we're going to talk to this guy because we are peaceful and we are opening a dialogue.
I was just playing Legends Arceus yesterday again. Like I've almost 100% completed the game. The only thing I have left to do is 100% the Pokédex.
Yeah, Melanie never 100% games like at all. Just
That's
putting it
what I'm
out
saying.
there.
Let's
Except for Fire Emblem support lists, she does tend to do that.
Fire Emblem only in one game. In Awakening, I didn't know who to marry, so I got 100% of all supports. Let me tell you, it took me a long time.
It took you like a month.
Yeah. That turned from a 30-hour game into
Constant
a well
month.
over a 60-hour game very quickly.
In a few minutes, troops will be ordered to charge. None of you will survive.
The way the camera's angled makes his forehead look huge.
It'll all be over.
Jerk.
Then do it.
You can avoid that, Marcus.
Nope, do it. Kill me.
What do you mean?
Run me over.
Surrender.
No.
Nope, I do not trust you. You'll kill us anyway.
Word, your life will be spared.
Your life, but no.
You'll be detained.
Here's what happened. They'll kill everyone else except for Marcus. Be like, your life.
Destroyed.
No, they'll turn their back on her.
You to tell.
Let's see what
happened to the other androids demonstrating in the camps?
Oop. They're dead.
Unfortunately, there were no journalists around to help save them.
Which means you don't really care for me.
You're it. You're the last remaining deviants.
I mean, in Detroit, we know this is happening outside of that.
Are you asking me to betray my people?
I am offering you the chance to save your people.
No.
You're not walking out of here, Marcus.
Fine, then I'll die
The
here.
only thing you can save now are the lives of those around you.
I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid to die.
Let's go.
If I have to give my life for what I believe in, then I won't have lived in vain.
He's like a Buddha
That android.
kind of vibe. You know, like he would inspire people behind him.
You seem to really care about her.
Yeah, of course, single out the one girl.
Do you?
I don't care if she dies.
Honestly.
Marcus loves her, but we have not been entranced.
Forget about all this.
Mainly because, again, she disagrees with us on everything. I'm just like, how are we still in love with
Start
you?
a new life with two of you. No thanks.
No.
Her life's in your hands, Marcus.
Okay, shoot her in the head right now.
Say the word and she'll be spared.
No.
No.
Answer's no. Refuse deal.
I'd rather.
Again, we are holding out for reinforcements. That's the biggest thing. They don't know that yet. They think we're the last ones left, but we are holding out for reinforcements. Which I'm so nervous to miss.
Yeah, you're about to do
L1,
hella
R1,
quick time.
L1.
Yeah, I was like, practice your buttons. You're
The
about
L
to
and
do
the
so
R,
many quick
the L and the
buttons.
R are the ones I miss. It's the R1, R2, L1, L2. Sometimes I hit the wrong
That's so
one.
true. I never remember which one's R. I think
So-
the trigger is R2.
What happened?
Yeah.
Marcus? What did he say?
I don't want to talk to you because you're a weenie. I want to talk to everyone. My fellow weenies. We're all gonna die.
Helen, you're ruining the moment.
Sorry.
The humans are about to launch an attack. And we will show them. And we are not afraid. If we must die today, then we will die free.
And there it is.
Dang, bro, he didn't give us a minute to have
He didn't give us even 5 seconds. Oh, yeah.
Friend's life is in your hands. time to decide what matters most. Him or the revolution?
Don't listen to him. Everything this fucker says is a lie.
Connor! I'm sorry, Hank. You shouldn't have got mixed up in all this.
Forget about me. Do what you have to do.
If I surrender, how do I know you won't kill him? I'll only do what is strictly necessary to accomplish my mission. It's up to you whether or not that includes killing this human. Enough talk! It's time to decide who you really are. Are you going to save your partner's life? Or are you going to sacrifice him?
Obviously.
All right. You win.
I was like, obviously save Hank.
Come on.
Now which one are we?
I don't know.
You put your hats in and Nico future tone skills to the test.
Come on. I hit that one.
Hold it.
I couldn't tell which one was me.
I don't know how I would have managed without you. Get rid of him. We have no time to lose.
Obviously, it's the
me,
fake
Hank.
one.
I'm the real Connor.
One of you is my partner.
Admittedly, it is really hard to tell.
Question is, who's who?
What are you doing, Hank? I'm the real Connor.
He's obviously the fake one.
Give me the gun and I'll take care of it.
Yeah, look for the one who looks scared.
Why don't you ask us something?
Why does he look?
Something only the real Connor would
He looks so expressive. The deviant one. He
Well,
moves
to
more
be
human.
fair, you gotta get. I mean,
Jimmy's bar. I checked 4 other bars before I found you. We went to the scene of a homicide. The victim's name was Carlos Ortiz. He uploaded my memory.
What's my dog's name?
Sumo. His name is Sumo. I knew that too.
My son, what's his name?
Bob.
Cole. His name was Cole. And he just turned 6 at the time of the accident. It wasn't your fault, Lieutenant. A truck skidded on a sheet of ice and your car rolled over. Cole needed emergency surgery, but no human was available to do it. So an android had to take care of him. Cole didn't make it. That's why you hate androids. You think one of us is responsible for your son's death.
Cole died because a human surgeon was too high on red ice to operate. He was the one that took my son from me. Him in this world where the only way people can find comfort is with a fistful of powder.
I knew about your son too. I would have said exactly the same thing. Don't listen to him, Hank. I'm the one who...
Nice.
Yeah, I've learned a lot since I met you, Connor. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe you really are alive. Maybe you're the ones to make the world a better place. Go ahead, do what you gotta do.
I just like that he's still wearing the same shirt from like 4 days ago. What we picked out for him.
I know.
We don't even need to be here. This game speaks for itself.
I know.
This is a no commentary playthrough.
Well, at this point, I just want to let the characters talk.
Wake up!
Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up.
And they said deviancy is like a virus, it spreads.
Wake up, wake up.
It's also like an idea.
Uh-oh! I'm the dead Connor. That's so funny.
I gotta pause the game because my hands are getting so sweaty. Again, so
Woo! this is giving me a rush, and I'm getting none of my work done.
I know. I told you. But so here's the thing I think is so fun about that fight. Is one, you can't tell who's who when you're fighting. I'm like, I don't even know which one's me. But also, I like the fact every other fight Connor's been in, he's won handily. You know, he's because he's strong, he's tough, and he's fast. But like, and he can also outthink usually any like other opponent. But I like how in this one, your punches don't have any impact. Every hit is glanced off because you're fighting yourself. They have the exact same capabilities and strength. So that's why, like, I like the fact that they are just, I could feel it with the feedback of my controller, because, you know, like, the controller, vibrates when you're hit or when you make a hit. But, like, it barely moved at all, because, again, you're hitting yourself, and we know...
How did he know which guy he was?
How did we know?
Yeah.
Did you just watch?
I did, but how did you know?
That's what we're talking about right now!
How did we know? Because
watch
if
the
you were
stream.
watching this whole time, you would know!
Go watch the stream!
I did, but I was like, I didn't see it on there. I didn't want to text it.
Because you weren't
Then
watching!
watch! We're explaining it right now!
We're about to tell you right now! Sorry,
our dad's invading our recording studio, and I'm like, watch the stream!
Why does he want to know? We're talking about it right now!
So, like, I was about to get to, excuse me, so, I was just starting off with the fact that I thought it was cool how, like, when you're fighting, every other fight you've done with Connor feels, like, instantly like you're taking the person down. This one feels like you're hitting a brick wall because you're
also like seeing,
hitting yourself.
When you hit the different Connors, different pieces of their face, like their skin will come off, like their skin.
Yeah, because it deactivates their artificial skin whenever they take damage. That's why the more damaged androids, you can see more of the plastic metal underneath.
Isn't that cool? I was like, yay!
But anyway, so, again, I was going to say this anyway, but since our dad came to give us exclusive, he walked up 2 flights of stairs to hear this, so we're going to say it now. Clear. I'm glad he's watching, but
and interested enough he had to come up and ask.
So here's the deal. So again, there's several ways this fight can go. The biggest priority with this one for me is keeping Hank alive, because he can not get shot and survive. We can get shot and survive. He cannot get shot and survive. So obviously we're trying to get the other us's attention off of Hank. So we're fighting, and that fight went ultimately pretty well. All things considered, I got most of the flicks. The only one that was like the ones that you have to like hit and then to the side are hard to do.
Like the very first one you
Well, because I'm surprised I hit that on North when I was trying to shield her, because I'm like, but like, because the way the thing clicks when it moves, sometimes it doesn't register me clicking to the side and going around when you do it quickly. And I mean, you've heard it before. Sometimes it just doesn't register me flicking it. So the whole thing is that, so we have both the Connors who look indistinguishable, and Hank was he was convinced enough by the fake one to be led here in the first place without realizing he was being held at gunpoint until they got here, you know?
Well, because like he said, he uploaded all of his... He's essentially all Connor with just simply no deviancy.
Yeah.
So he's learned all his memories, but he hasn't learned his mannerisms and his traits that he learned from Hank. So he wouldn't have learned little things that weren't part of his memory.
Yes, and that's also the whole point with, like, you know, again...
Like, connections he made.
We've mentioned before that Connor's the only character who can't technically die at least not until the final act. Because if he ever is destroyed, they just re-upload his consciousness, his program, his software, into another model. That's how, like, if, for instance, Marcus would have shot him in the previous chapter, that would have just destroyed that model, and then CyberLife would have just cleaned out the code that was the deviancy, and they have Connor back to the way he was before as a machine.
Stuff that isn't like he uploaded his memories,
but he didn't
upload his thoughts. Does that make sense? Like Connor made the connection about Hank's son through his deductive reasoning skills, knowing Hank, seeing how Hank responds in certain scenarios. Like, just a memory wasn't enough to get that. He needed to have all the surface stuff too that was leading him to deviancy,
and the
new model wouldn't have.
And the other thing is that, so this is also why it's so crucial. I watched Jacksepticeye do this, which is very funny.
Yeah, we watched a little bit of his playthrough, and then we also watched like the all perfect endings.
I've watched a couple of playthroughs just out of curiosity of the different choices people make. So, like, obviously, you know, Hank asks questions, and the other Connors upload our memories. So things like statistical data, stuff like that, is easy to recall. So, and the thing is that, like, Hank knows Connor can be really good at simulating emotions. He's been doing that this whole time. That's why he wasn't sure whether to trust him or not throughout the story, because he's like, is this real, or is this just a really good program? So again, that's why I give him a little slack where he's like, look, again, it's also a stressful situation. You know, who knows that he might have even been drinking before this. We don't know how much of a state of mind Hank is at this point. But the two in front of him is like, yeah, you can be like, we look at the one that we know is our Connor who looks more afraid. But it's hard to tell. It is hard to tell. When I'm fighting, it's hard to tell. So the thing is that gives it. It's not just so you have to look at the photo on the table in Hank's house to see his son. That is when you get the facts, essentially. You see that, because you look it up, as Connor usually does, he analyzes, he searches, and he finds, you know, like the death certificate in the news story about what happened to Cole, Hank's son. But the thing is that you ask him on the bridge then for his son's name and what happened, and he doesn't explain it. He just says there was, like, he died 3 years ago. So, and that's the thing that caused him to do his whole downward spiral. That's how he became, like, you know, a shining lieutenant. That was, like, you know, the youngest in his field, like, you know, cracking down red ice, and then he just spirals into what we see today. But, the thing that really convinces Hank that this is Connor is not just the fact that, again, he would know that because he researched it. It's the fact that he goes and tells the event, but then he makes his own deductions on it. Like Madeline said. Androids. You know, is that because this whole time we know Hank hates androids. Because, again, Connor kept pushing that question throughout the playthrough. He's like, is there any reason you despise me? And it's not him, per se. I mean, it is kind of him as we go along, because he's like, this guy's more stubborn than I am. But he's like, is there a reason you hate me? And Hank says yes, but he never elaborates on it. He just says he has his reasons. So, the thing that is like, so, Connor knows how Cole died. He knows the situation, but he makes the jump in logic, the deduction, essentially the emotional reasoning of that's why you hate androids, because an android operated on your son and your son died, so you blame androids for that. And the funny thing is, the cool thing about is with Hank is that you can see this throughout the playthrough. Hank does believe that for a lot of it. He's looking for a source to blame for the loss of his child. You know, and the easy one is blame the soulless machines until he realizes that they're not just machines. And then that's when the thing he truly hates is, again, an uncaring world. How badly things how badly things can be, the darkness of the world. The fact, like he says, that a doctor, someone who's meant to heal, someone who could have potentially saved his son, or maybe they wouldn't have, we don't know, if he had been in his right mind, but the surgeon was high and couldn't operate. So the first option was a human doctor, but there was no surgeon available, so an android did it instead. And that's what Hank realizes after he comes to get to know Connor, after he comes to learn more about the androids. He realizes he never really hated them at all. He would just need something to be angry at, and the truth is, he blames that surgeon. He blames the whole red ice epidemic. He even blames himself for, you know, being in the car crash in the first place. Even though, like Connor says, it wasn't his fault. Yeah, someone pulled into him. Yeah. So, again, I like that this is really, it's obviously a big moment for Connor, but this is a really huge moment for Hank, too, because he has to acknowledge the fact that, no, his anger has been misplaced in so many different directions, but the thing he's really angry at is how uncaring the world has become. And that's why he helps Connor. That's why he is, you know, for the androids now, because he's like, I'm hoping you've shown, that's why he says to Connor, he's like, you've shown me that you are capable of kindness, that you very much could have a soul, that you could make the world better. So I'm going to give you the best chance I can. Maybe you can make the world a better place. And that's just, it's so moving for me, because that's why Hank's my favorite human character, because he has such a growth arc. It is Connor's story, but it's also really Hank's story as well. It's humanity's story of, can we learn to have empathy again? Can we learn to be more human by watching this other race become human? That's the whole point of the story. Detroit become human.
Detroit become human?
So, to answer my dad's question, in a previous chapter, if you're paying attention, we learned those facts about Hank. And so we just have to say them to him. And at this point, because Connor is deviant, he has the emotional understanding, and he's open and vulnerable with Hank, and Hank realizes that's my partner, not the other one. So he shoots the other one, and then he's like, hey, I got pulled into this situation, you're doing a big revolution thing, you go at it, I won't get in the way. And
I
then,
also
you know,
think that when you look at them standing there, I also think Connor, like when we were looking for deviants earlier, it's funny how it becomes full circle, like the one in the television tower.
Uh-huh.
He's got more human tells now than the other one did. Like, he was looking back and forth more worriedly, standing in an unsure stance, fidgeting more, like...
Yeah.
Just in that little scene, I liked seeing those little things.
yeah, you're right. Like in the Stratford Tower, the way we could tell the deviant from the other ones is the deviant was nervous. The deviant showed fear. We could see his eyes darting back and forth, and Mallion's correct. When you're looking at the two Connors here, if you look at them, again, we don't have time because the questions are timed.
But I do, because
Mallion
I'm
did.
not looking at the questions.
But Mallion was watching. He's like, you can
I
tell
get to look.
Connor's a bit more fidgety. He has a little bit more of a slack stance instead of being so ramrod straight. He's looking around. You know, he's showing more emotion, which again, even in his most machine state, Connor was always very expressive in the little things. But like, I like that. Anyway, we just have to speak about that because that's arguably like my favorite scene in the game. In the entire game,
We've been hyping ourselves up this whole time.
Is that scene where you go and talk about Cole, and you talk about essentially the core of what makes Hank's character work.
Like you said, if you go back, they never explicitly say anything about him. They don't say, you know, how he died, kind of thing. That like, they never explain. You have to do context clues, but you know, because you're playing Connor, it's great because you're kind of putting together pieces like he's putting together.
Like he
pieces.
knew the facts about it, but he still didn't know why this made Hank angry.
Things together as a human, so then when Connor puts it together once he becomes deviant, that's cool.
Yeah, because Connor, like Hank asked him about that before, like Connor does his research about everything he interacts with, so he knew the facts about how Cole died, but he didn't understand why that made Hank so angry until now, when he realized, like, oh, this is why, because it wasn't a logical explanation, it was an emotional response, and now he's starting to understand those more. It's a huge moment of character development for Connor. It's a huge moment of character development for Hank. It's like, definitely, there's only one other scene that makes me more emotional in this, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But that moment, I could talk about it for hours. It's just so,
and you know what?
so
I think
good.
We will. We're actually not completing the game tonight. We're about to talk about this scene for the next 6 hours. But buckle up.
that scene, there's just so much. That is like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Marcus is the one on the cover. His thing is definitely a very good story. It's a very important story. But like, the thesis I feel of Detroit Become Human, the idea of becoming human, is that scene right there. Is the androids becoming human? Yes, that's what Connor's story is about. That's what Marcus' story about. But Connor's story is about humans learning to become human again, learning to find their empathy again, learning to look for hope again. Which, man, don't we need that sort of message in today's day and age? Let's just say.
Freaking go.
And that's why I think that, again, this game was made, what, like 6 years ago? Still very relevant now.
Yeah, 6 years.
And that's what. So, like, man, I love that scene so much. And also, Connor's just the coolest. Even when I go and mess up his QuickTime events, he keeps going.
Connor is the best.
Connor is the best. I love his story so much. He's just he's a fun character, too. Just because he does all these, like, espionage missions and stuff like that, and he's, you know, he kicks butt. But, man, I love that thing of Hank's so different. He's the character that has arguably the most character growth throughout the entire story. Because you see that he's so different. Like, a lot of him has not changed. A lot of the core is still there. But, again, it's just, all that changed, like he says, is that, like, it's just his perspective on things. Your man, that's just so huge. And I like the fact that, like, this is the point where you could officially...
I don't think they've ever had two Connors active before.
No, because the problem would be that their memories wouldn't line up, and that's the whole thing. They only try. So, another fun fact, as long as we're staying here for a moment. So, again, you can get Connor killed several times throughout the story if you're not careful. Each one, I told you, will then be uploaded to the new one, and then there'll be a gravestone in the Zen Garden for the one that was destroyed, and it'll tell you where it was destroyed, and those numbers will tick up. The one we just faced is, so one we're playing is number 51. The one we just faced is number 60. AKA, you can get Connor killed 9 times throughout this thing.
Wild.
So, in the fan community, they refer to that Connor usually as 60, because, again, they're all called Connor, so they have to give them different names. But, again, the one who's very firmly still in the machine state and is essentially into that whole my mission or nothing sort of vibe. Because, like, you can try and talk to him and stuff like that. You try and convince him, and he'd be like, yeah, nice try. I do this, too. That's the whole thing. That's the difference. Like Madeline said, Connor's learned humanity from interacting with Hank, interacting with other characters, even interacting with small things like that cop who thanked him. But this one, who's been in storage the whole time and just has the factual data of Connor's memories, uses them in a manipulative way, which is when you see like the real danger what Connor could do if he wasn't, in this case, a deviant. So, man, that's the thing. And then also just this the scene of him like converting all the androids and stuff like that.
Slay. I might come up on the bed. My legs hurt down here.
So anyway, we gotta continue because we're back to, I believe, Kara's story. So we still have to get her over the finish line.
None of the stories are home free yet.
No. That was just it's like my favorite scene in the game, so I had to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, for our dad's benefit, we knew which one was the real Connor because we knew the answers to the questions based on things that happened previously in the game. There's not really any visual tell, that's for sure. And they, imagine how that is for like Brian Deckard who was doing this. He has to go and play himself and shoot himself. And they say the way that worked when they were doing the shooting is that he would have to go play one of them, and then the stunt double would be the other person. Then he would have to go and like get into the headspace of the other Connor, and then go and do it all over again. They just had to, in like motion capture, you had to find someone who's like your exact dimensions. Like, but that's fascinating.
Oh. Too bad I can't read from.
Okay, we're controlling all passengers to detect android practice. Detect the android immediately destroyed.
Temperature checks. We're trapped.
What are we gonna do, Kara?
We're gonna be fine.
We're gonna go pee-pee.
Don't worry, Alice. We'll be fine.
Girl, you just told her to her face we're doomed.
Because again, that's one thing I do like about Kara is that she's openly emotional, and she especially herself very, very naive. So she doesn't have all the answers. She's really just kind of doing her best. That's why I do love all the protagonists, because they're all good characters. And they all have good growth. I like Connor's the best for, like, thematic reasons, mainly. No, we're getting through this with Luther. We're going through, all three of us. No, we're getting through, Luther. You better believe it. There's the Jerry we saw before. When we saved him in the streets.
Next, please. You risked your life to save us, Carl. If you and the little girl need me, I'll be there.
So you can't sacrifice him too, which I guess is kind of less of a deathless thing. Oh, look, there's Rose.
Rose.
Head over there.
Wait for me. I won't be long.
Where the hell do you think you're going?
My daughter needs to go to the bathroom.
Okay, now I look like a fool.
Exactly. Like, this is the way the bathrooms, dude.
Man, don't I look stupid. Now you get to see what real Canadian bathrooms look like.
And our last mirror look. I just love the idea of the androids looking at themselves and like being like, am I really there sort of vibe. And man,
she's crying.
Just the emotional weight she's under right now. So relatable. Like, I do really like Kara's story too, because she has so many good emotional beats.
Kara, mom.
Hers is just more of a slow burn sort of like conflict. You're just constantly in danger instead of large moments danger. And Rose,
I'm so glad you're safe.
second
Shout out
best
to Rose.
second best human character.
I was terrified. I thought you might have been killed. Thank God you're right.
You gave me your brother's address. Do you think that
Of course. He'd be delighted to have you. We're going there too. You'll be safe with him.
they're checking for androids? We won't make it through.
You have to. You know what they'll do if they catch you.
You're leaving Detroit?
They're searching for androids door to door. We had to leave before someone turned us in.
What about the others?
They're crossing the river as we speak. Adam and I are gonna meet them on the other side.
What's happening with Marcus?
He's protesting peacefully outside one of the android camps. Whatever happens now, he's already made the history books.
You're doing great, girl.
And like that scene always gets me. Just again,
the sheer desperation, yo.
Yeah, I mean, man, again, I talk about Connor's actor a lot, but man, her actor, just man, the little things to get that emotion across. Like again, you read everything about the desperation in her like behavior, like Mallory says.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the whole thing with Rose, we've only known her over a chapter, but man, she's just a decent human being.
Shout out to my man Rose.
Come on.
I couldn't understand why my mother wanted to help you guys. Seeing what Marcus is doing made me realize she was right. You're alive.
Let's go.
You deserve to be free.
Gamers.
I just hope people will realize that one day.
That's
We're
my
doing our
man.
best, bro.
That's my man.
We're not going to sacrifice anyone.
ID, please.
Please. I just want to be free.
Welcome to Canada.
Let's go!
And so, because, again, this is why, again, I think that doing the peaceful protest is better, because, again, if you do the violent one, it just gives them all the more reason to be validated for being afraid. But, like, being peaceful, it changes, not everyone's minds, but a few people's minds. And, like, that guy, he goes and sees that, you know, Marcus is peacefully protesting, and he lets you through.
Meredith said, I want you to know my Twitch app is not letting me send anything in chat, but I'm so invested in Kara's story, and if it ends in anything other than happiness for this family, I'll cry.
Oh, we actually just got over the leg of Kara's story, so she now is on to her happy ending. That's the last
So
part
that was
of
the
her.
climax of Kara's, now we will do in falling action for hers.
Yeah. Kara, Alice, and Luther are now safe.
They are now in their falling action.
Have apparently decided to put an end to the deviance demonstration by force this time.
She's the one I hate. I think she's so annoying.
Gosh.
Face makes me angry.
North.
Girl, who cares about bringing North?
And again, the correlations this has to the junkyard scene.
You have the sound and everything.
Come on! Come on.
Sorry,
Mostly-
because I'm touching you.
No, it's just the motion controls are finicky. He lets him go. He tells him go. Leaves him alone. And the music here.
Let's go, gamers.
So beautiful.
Watching with bated breath. Nice happy ending.
We're gonna
do not kiss North.
Thanks, Michael. Back to you in the studio. Wait a minute. Something's happening.
Hold on just a little while longer.
This is the song Lucy was singing the first time Marcus met her.
Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Fight on just a little while longer. Fight on just a little while longer. Pray on just a little while longer.
Incredible. The Deviants. The Deviants are singing.
It's crazy, that's all the deviants left.
Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright.
Tell them to stand down.
Oh, it took you this long. Madam Clog
looks
knows.
like- Yes, the military is withdrawing.
After they killed everyone else and shot Marcus 10 times.
November 11th, 2038. Thousands of androids invaded the city of Detroit. According to our sources, they originated from CyberLife warehouses believed to have been infiltrated by deviants.
Deviant, just one.
Their overwhelming numbers and the risk of civilian casualties, I have ordered the army to retreat. The evacuation of the city is underway at this very moment. In the coming hours, I will address the Senate to determine our response to this unprecedented situation.
Ooh, I want to punch him in the face so bad.
That public opinion has been moved by the deviants' cause. Perhaps the time has come for us to consider the possibility that androids are a new form of intelligent life.
Oh, you've been saying, punk.
One thing is certain. The events in Detroit have changed the world forever. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
choice now. They'll have to listen to us.
He took off his tie!
Yeah, I've already said the symbolism about Connor's tie, but I'll talk about it again later if anyone wants me to.
Boo.
We're free.
Girl, you wanted to nuke the city.
I want you to speak to them, Marcus.
Put this away, not in public. Stop. It's not time for that.
That's why we didn't need to kiss her earlier, because I knew there was a scripted one later.
In fact, you never need to kiss each other in this whole game, actually. I'm glad you're happy with each other, but I actually prefer nobody was happy.
We're not quite finished yet, though.
From the very first day of our existence, we have kept our pain to ourselves. We've suffered in silence.
So true.
But now the time has come for us to raise our heads up
Slay.
and tell humans who we really are.
Gasp. Not the Zen Garden.
Amanda? Amanda! What's happening?
What was planned from the very beginning? You were compromised and you became a deviant. We just had to wait for the right moment to resume control of your program.
Resume control? You can't do that!
I'm afraid I can, Connor. Don't have any regrets. You did what you were designed to do. You accomplished your mission.
Amanda! There's got to be a way.
By the way, I was leaving emergency and swim programs.
So we'll explain this scene after I'm done, but
I was like, do you know where you're going?
We are on a crunch right now. Now we have Connor's theme blasting in the background. Love that. I'm gonna finally figure out what this glowy rock does. Come on.
The moment where we forget our bitterness and bandage our wounds. Where we forgive our enemies. Humans were both our creators and our oppressors, and tomorrow, we must make them our partners. Maybe even one day our friends. But the time for anger is over. Now we must build a common future based on tolerance and respect. We are alive! And now, we are free!
Now officially all the characters are safe. Kara was safe, but these two weren't out of the woods yet. Also, I love they sneak in that little scene with Connor at the end when you think you're safe. Like a false sense of security, you know? I'll speak about what just happened in a minute here, but I want to get past this first.
It's over, Alice. We're free.
Come on, join the family hug. They go off to be a little family in Canada.
Let's go. Happy ending. Credits.
No, we got one more scene.
Oh. Credits.
I think at least.
You do.
Oh, we got
I
the
think it's like a mid-credits.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's go, gamers.
Man, just look. I love looking at the scenes when you're looking at the credits because it
how
reminds you
far
of
they've
how
come.
far you've come.
I know.
The journey you've been through with these characters. Man, hats off to every actor in this movie, especially the three protagonists. This game would not be a quarter of as, in fact, impactful as it was if they didn't have such amazing actors.
Yeah.
For the motion capture.
They really did good.
And I say that because apparently, you know, well, I've said before, I'm not really fond of other games like Until Dawn, even though they're very similar in premise to this game. Because, again, it feels campier. And I feel like some of them are just really not into it or way too into it. This one feels like...
Well, also, I think this
everyone's
game
giving
is
a
different
movie
'cause it's not,
performance.
Well, it's like, this is also not a horror game, which
But
helps a lot.
You still can have characters that are emotional. Like, the only one I felt emotionally attached
So
to was,
that's
like,
what
two of the...
well, I'm saying in horror games, a lot of times, like horror movies, they make the characters so you don't get attached to them.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
I think that's just a flawed thing to go
Maybe
after,
more
though.
kids.
If you want to care about people dying, shouldn't you therefore make me want to save them? I will push it back against that logic. I want to keep these characters alive. Yeah, next time let's give her white hair. Just for the heck of it.
Yeah, why not? Take a look like
'Cause
a old
we
lady.
went with the black because it was the closest to the brown.
Mhm.
But yeah, let's do white hair next time. And also, we have to stay in the house to see how that changes things.
Maybe something's different.
There are a lot of little decisions, like, we can give virtually the same ending, but there are a lot of little decisions I would love to make differently. Like, we could threaten that guy with a gun.
Marcos. You pretty much never see Marcus in an intact android suit.
Well, because that's the whole point, is that, like, Carl didn't treat him as an android, he treated him as another human. That's why he's the only one you never see in any sort of android uniform. And I also like there's the difference in what the uniform means for each of them. Because, like, for Kara, it's a show of, like, you know, it's a show of, like, she's oppressed in that one, she's stuck in that role, she's identified as a threat in that role. However, like, for someone like Connor, it feels most natural on him because he's very
not when you
attached
saw
to that
that ending
identity.
where Carl died.
Yeah.
In that one. Or the android shot himself in the face.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming
That's the
would
place
lead
where a
to-
lot of people get Connor killed the first time,
Yeah,
is in
like-
that investigation.
And I feel like then
Okay,
that
here
would
we
change
go.
what parts you get. Oh.
Oh man, that makes my heart.
That makes me cry.
That's why I love my favorite scene is the Cyberlife Tower scene. That would be the second.
Stop, that makes me freaky.
Oh, I love them so much. Also, just the fact that like both of them are not really expressing a whole lot. It's like a little hint of a smile for both of them. But the little things of, again, because you look throughout the thing and Connor never really fully smiles ever. Like you can see like a little twitch of the lips type of thing, but like
got me sobbing, yo.
he never fully smiles until the end here when he's like fully embraced becoming human. And then they hug at the end, and that's just the best.
Stop, that makes me
I
so
love that
emotional.
so much.
I'm crying.
But yeah, we got it. We got the best ending. Because the best ending, you only get it with, you know, that scene if you do get the best ending. Which, you know, requires you to know the revolution to work, and Hank and Connor to be alive. And
It literally makes me like...
man, that scene gets me every time, because it's just... again, the fact that, and also, because the city's been evacuated at this point, but Hank stayed behind, and he's just sitting there waiting for him. I'm going to assume that they didn't even speak to each other, because Connor was busy all night. He had a lot of other stuff to do, and he's just sitting there waiting and being like, you'll know, you know? And then they just come, and they just look at each other, and then there's just, like, this understanding that now finally they're at the point of equals. And then, I love the fact also that Hanks pulls him into a hug. It's not like you know, the other way around. He's like, come here. It's been a long night. Let's go get lunch.
Look at me actively sobbing.
That's the point where I think, like, you know, the first one before, like, when you're in Cyberlife Towers, like, that's when I officially believe they're partners. This is where I officially believe they're friends. You know, like... To
see the tears streaming down my
Gosh,
face.
I love those two. Best relationship in the whole dang game.
That makes me feel emotions, which I'm medicated to not feel. That's how strong these emotions are right now.
Man, but, like, I love all three stories. All three of them had, and we got the best ending because we got through it without any of the major characters dying.
Let's freaking go.
Which, let me point out,
that's an
a
accomplishment.
lot of people get Simon killed. Because a lot of people just think about, like, completing the mission, and a lot of people get Simon killed. So, we got through the game with Simon.
Meredith
First best part.
said long format movie. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
This game works so well. If you actually... What were you really enjoying? We started watching this with Jacksepticeye's playthrough, but what we found was the best was watching
a no commentary
playthrough. And you can choose good endings, bad endings, all mixed
no
endings.
commentary playthrough and watch it as a movie.
No commentary playthrough. The one we had also didn't have any ads on it. It was great. We watched it like a you know, like those TV shows that have like 8 episodes because they're like pseudo movie shows. Excuse me. Yeah, we watched it like that, and it was really, I mean, it was good. It was like lasted us like almost 2 weeks, and it was something like I looked forward to coming home from work. And
in fact,
Evie can tell you I don't normally like watching TV shows, so the fact that I would be like, I'm so excited to come home from work today because I really want to watch.
Like now, Mally's trying to work on things, and she's like.
Yeah, I have to do this slideshow, and it's due at like 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Well, you keep working, and I'll keep talking.
I have over 300 pictures. Yikes!
But again, this movie is so cinematic that I've seen people be like, "What, they made this TV show? What, they made this movie? Why bother? It's pretty much is already." I don't think they could do anything better with it.
I would not change anything. I think it's amazing.
It's so just emotional. I care about all the characters. That's what I'm like. This game succeeds, and I empathize.
Sob openly.
And I don't, and not to say it's perfect. It definitely has areas for improvement, has areas of things I've changed. I've already brought up, kind of as we go through House, for instance, I think the rest of Marcus's supporting characters are probably the weakest in the overall of all the characters.
I would have to agree with you.
I would have liked it if there were, like, maybe more human supporters with the android movement, or more human characters in the other paths besides Connor's. Like, I obviously love Rose, but she only appears in the end. I love Carl, but he's only in the beginning and the end. Something in the middle would have been nice for all of them. But, you know, again, the story between Hank and Connor is so strong, though, that I don't really care that the other two don't, because... And I still love, like, the relationship between Alice and Kara. Love that. It's again, it's a simple story, but it's a great story. It's an emotional story. I still love her. It's very relatable. I'm always the one who loves the emotional things. And I really like Marcus's story. Particularly on the pacifist route, because again, you can do a revolution route, but I love in the pacifist route because again, it makes the most sense for his character. He's been treated with kindness and respect his whole life by Carl, so he's the one to lead them out of the darkness, as Carl says. You can either look into the abyss, or you can choose to lead them out of the darkness, you know? You have the strength to do that, and that's why, again, I think... Because there's a lot of things that can make the revolution go wrong. For instance, if Connor doesn't arrive with the reinforcements, the revolution can fail, because just Marcus doesn't have the manpower, they'll get wiped out. Or if, you know... The revolution can't, like, there's literally an ending where the revolution fails, everyone dies, Connor does get reinforcements, but Marcus and everyone else is dead. That's an ending. You know, like, there's so many different options for how the game can go down after you hit Jericho. Like, there's so many major things that happen. And like Mallory was talking about before, she saw, like, a scene with, Hank and Connor on a rooftop. That's an entirely different ending.
Yeah, Connor had a gun.
I would love to do that ending, because there is actually a really cool scene you can get that's hidden in there that I would love to do. But, like, again, I love all these things. And I also, to back up a little bit, so, again, the way they just bait you out in the final thing, where you're literally at Marcus's victory speech. you've probably put down the controller. I remember watching Jacksepticeye play this, and like he had already put down the controller, and then suddenly realized like, oh wait, we're not done yet. Cause gosh dang it, Cyberlife isn't going down without a fight. And so, and again, I love Amanda's so devious. I love a good devious manipulator. Because, again, she could be telling the truth or she could be telling a bunch of lies. It could have, like what she said, could be true. They always intended for Connor to go deviant, and they were just waiting for him to get close enough to Marcus to reactivate him and assassinate the android leader. Or she could be saying a bunch of lies and just trying to get inside his head. And, but either way, I love the fact that, like, you know that. And again, that's why you need to, like, learn about the emergency exit from Kamsky. And he tells you that. He leaves an emergency exit in all of his programs, which includes Amanda, includes the Zen Garden. He's essentially giving Connor a warning that, like, he might have even known about Amanda's whole plan, like, to go and take him over again and being like, hey, heads up, this happens, there is a way out. You can find it. And obviously you have to activate the little glowy rock at some point beforehand, and just connect to it at some point. But, the fact that they lead you into that, and if you're too slow, if you can't find the exit in time, they'll control you and kill Marcus. At which point you can't escape. You literally freeze to death in that thing, and then they toss you away. Yes. Connor's just constantly taking hits in this story when you think about it. He's like, his existence is to suffer in a lot of cases. But the fact that, again, and we go and see, like, the way, also, love this song. This is one of the main themes. Because I listen to this music whenever I crochet or I write essays. Because I love, love, love the soundtrack of this game. It's up there with, like, Persona 5 in terms of how much, like, I correlate the music with the game. Because I don't listen to a ton, granted, a ton of, video game soundtracks recreationally. Usually I love them in the case, but I'm like, there are a few that I do out of it, and this is one where I'm just like, this soundtrack got me through many a paper and many a crochet project, because it's so good. Oh, I love this theme so much. But, and we'll speak more in a minute. An Army of Me. Yeah, get everyone's things filled out.
Woof. Woof.
Because like I said, there is so many different... Once you get past Jericho, there are so many alternate endings. You can get just from that point in the game. You can get alternate endings from earlier points in the game, but just from this final chapter, there's so many alternate endings. Okay, so let's look at Marcus's thing. So, a couple comments about this we'll go through. Just kind of play by play here. So, obviously, we decided to do the Freedom March. Obviously options besides going to sit. Let's get the world stats up so we can see. Only 10% people chose to sit? I thought that was the most like, submissive things we could do.
I thought it was going to be kneeling is more, like, submissive.
No, I thought sit, because it shows that we're not bowing down to you, but we are choosing not to advance. So we use the abandoned car. Is there another option besides using the abandoned car? Okay, I wonder if there's an option to talk to Josh, Simon, and North in there, and we ran out of time.
Probably.
Probably. Perkins, negotiate. That's probably we choose not to negotiate. Refuse the deal. Obviously, we refuse the deal. Because even if we accept the deal, he's probably still going to kill us.
So true, dog.
We did save the fleeing androids. Glad for that. We're cornered. I wonder what the option is. I'm guessing that's us dying. And so we did have Josh, Simon, and North with us. And also, so here's an interesting thing. 16% on Sing. Now this is what I thought was interesting. So this is a natural thing for me because again we've heard that song, but I love they bring that song full circles because we hear Lucy humming it, who's implied to be the oldest deviant in Jericho to begin with. And, she has this whole oracle prophecy thing going on.
Yeah, her head's falling out.
But we hear her humming this. You can hear Chloe sometimes singing that from the main menu, and then we obviously have the one trailer that has them singing that as well, that song. But a lot of people choose the Kiss North option, which you can do it as a lover. Or you have, there are two other options. There are obviously the more aggressive ones if you're doing revolutions.
It's probably because it has, the unlocky thing they choose. They're like, this means something.
Yeah, but The funny thing.
What does that mean?
So
don't shoot. He's in love.
Yeah. I guess it's showing they can feel love, they feel emotions. I think the Sing one is way better because, again, it tap into human history. Tap into, like he says, like the civil rights movement and stuff like that. Humans have a strong memory and an attachment to that. So tap into the memory. Show them that we are more alike than different. I think that's so smart. But I remember I watched, because I watched a couple one. I remember most vividly Jacksepticeye's playthrough because he's like, singing, what the heck would have that done? And I'm like, That's
so linked in civil rights stuff. Like, that's very, very civil rights and even slavery.
Well, like the fact that he's like that was a dumb option. What would that have done? Like, that's the point, is that you are doing something that is openly emotional and vulnerable, and you're trying to invoke emotional reaction. You know, and so obviously we also had very strong public opinions, so that's what got Kara safely through the checkpoint, was the strong public opinion, was Marcus doing peacefully. That's also what got the soldiers not to shoot. But I'm like, I think the singing option makes the most sense for, like, you know, the best ending, as far as you're like showing like, hey, we're standing up, because what survives even if they die? Look at the Hunger Games. Her little like song, her little bird whistle, that's the thing that people use to communicate. They use as a symbol between them. Even just a simple little thing like that. Music has power, you know? Way more than kissing someone does.
That's what I'm saying, especially when I feel like North and Marcus have so
This
little
is probably
chemistry.
us dying, I'm gonna assume.
One of them is North nuking all of Detroit. I don't stand for her her theology.
I just wish that she changed more. North's not a horrible character. Like I said, I like her way more than probably the entirety of the Until Dawn cast, just because I'm like, did they have to make all of them annoying? Again, if you're doing a game that's all about keeping your characters alive, the worst you're gonna feel is guilt that you made a bad choice. But I'm like, I should care.
Like,
this game I
sucks.
care if people die. Like, legitimately care. But North's not the worst character. It's more the fact that, and I have the same problem with Josh, is the fact that, like, they don't seem to grow. Every other character, like, they grow based off their experiences. The fact that, like, Josh and North really kind of stay the same throughout the whole process, even though she states that she's, like, her changing her view, she's being affected by Marcus. I think the moment she becomes your lover, she should change her tune, or at least lessen it to the point where she's not constantly offering, hey, let's go stab, let's go bomb.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm like, so you want to go kill everyone, including yourself?
Okay, let's look at so that's I'm guess that's another ending. So there's a lot of Connor's past that go differently. Connor has a lot of endings in this part. Like, again, he has so many different paths he can take at this point, because it all really depends on what you did at Jericho. Or if you found Jericho at all, because there's also an option for not finding Jericho at all. If you survived Jericho, if you survive as a machine, if you survive as a deviant. There's a lot of options for alternate paths once you get to that level. That's why the level before is called Last Chance Connor, is because, like, he has so many different, like, this is probably where, if you're someone who wants to fill out the whole grid, this is probably where a lot of it happens, is in his path, because look at this. All these endings possible.
That's crazy, yo. It's a lot of endings.
For Connor's story. Just look at all that. Holy crap.
That's really a lot.
And so this is if you choose the revolution path for Marcus.
Sweet Jesus. That's a lot. Wow.
This is Kara's. So we found the gun. I wonder what those are. I'm guessing those are different options. We saved Luther. So obviously an option is not to save Luther. I'm guessing there's an option not to take the gun. Continue. So we went to the security checkpoint. So obviously there's another path that we decided to take the detour. I'm assuming if we do the detour, we just miss the bus, and we have to. The other option that we could take is you cross the river, like Rose said, but obviously there's a lot more risk with that.
Beep boop.
So guard calls out to Kara. Yeah, we did that. Luther's nervous. We stay calm. How many people probably got trigger happy and decided to go with, okay, let's shoot him? I'm like, no, just you play it calm and you're fine. And then obviously there's lots of options for getting to the border. And again, there's also a lot of options of, like, did you kill Todd in the first chapter? Do you try to steal the tickets? Do you decide that you have to go in another way? Like this, I'm guessing, is a whole option of if you get captured. Like if they find you out. The Canadian border. We got most of the stuff here. I'm guessing we just missed a few cues. We did the whole thing with the Rose, obviously. So obviously we can choose the... So, guard sees Marcus approaching, he lets us pass, we get across the border. But we also have the option, like, sacrifice Luther, sacrifice Jerry, sacrifice Kara, and then Alice at least makes it over. This, I'm assuming, is the whole pathway if we get captured. And man, looks like there's a lot of options for that path.
I would love to not be captured, please.
So, this is Connor's Infiltrate Cyberlife mission, because there's a whole different mission he does, depending on, again, what you've done up until that point. So, obviously, we did the roast things. We did hack. So, that's the option if you don't hack the camera. That's the option if we don't do the right thing. Copy. Yeah, the option if you don't copy the guard's voice, obviously. That's us. So, if you do nothing and you just go where the guard leads you, they just straight up shoot you, as you kind of could have guessed.
No way.
Yeah.
Why? Just because you're an android?
No, that's the point. Is that they again.
They know you're deviated.
Because of the whole thing of, we've said before, like the whole thing with the tracker and stuff like that. They probably could tell he deviated. And so, like, if you just go in and pretend the whole way, and you don't make any moves, and you just get to the top. There's a firing squad, and they kill you.
That's wild.
So obviously we made it to the bottom floor, we hacked the camera, we made it out, so there wasn't a firing squad for us there, because we could die there. I like how many options there are for Connor to die in this level. And so then we find the new Connor. So there's an option, there is potential for Hank to be dead up until this point. So if he is, then the other Connor, will be alone, and he'll face you down, and so you'll go down this pathway of endings, which has a lot of options, which I would like to do that one just to see how it changes the scene. I don't like the idea of Hank dying, but I would like to at least know where that path goes. So obviously we go and we stop. You can also choose to do the conversion anyway, and sacrifice Hank, and Hank could die here. That is an option. So you do this, you attack, we fight, we hit. I like the fact that the only option is to come to Connor's draw. And the only option is to come to a draw because you're perfectly matched. So we obviously have to ask about the questions. We have to get them right. Man, who got Sumo wrong? Who didn't know his dog's name was Sumo? That's probably the people.
A lot of people.
That must be the people who didn't check his desk. But then again, Hank says it inside the house. Girl,
don't look at me.
Who doesn't know his name? Cole, again, it's a thing you can miss. Jacksepticeye actually did, because like I told you, you only have so much time to investigate Hank's house before you have to leave. So you can miss his picture and never learn his son's name is Cole. And so Jacksepticeye did choose the right option and choose Cole, because it'll give you 4 random names. So in this case, we knew it was, so they showed the lock. That was the one we were supposed to do. But if you didn't know, you can just choose randomly and see if he knows, and if you don't, he'll shoot you. And then the other Connor will be like, haha. And then Hank's just like, oh, crap. Yeah, but,
he dies, probably.
No, the other Connor will let you go. Because that's like he said, his mission was just to stop the deviant Connor, and has no reason to kill Hank. He'll just let him go. But the whole thing is that, so, Jacksepticeye only knew Cole's name because he missed it early in the story. But the reason he knew, and he explained this after his playthrough, is that his comments section blew up being like, you missed his picture! You don't know his son's name is Cole. And he's like, he didn't even know the importance of his son's name at all. He just knew that, like, hundreds of people were trying to tell him that his son's name is Cole. And so he's like, the only reason I knew that was because my comments blew up. I didn't even know the importance of it. And the funny thing, he's like, but there would have been other questions. He would have asked me other things. I'm like, nope. You get one answer wrong, he shoots you. And yeah.
Oopsies.
So he does kill the right one, and then we do the conversion, we get the things back. Man, the potentials for Connor to die in this level, there is like 4 different instances. And the thing is, because you're deviant now, that is the end. If you do that, you'll come back as the machine Connor. But the deviant one is like, that's why I feel like this level has so much more risk. Because every other time before that, even if you got Connor killed every time before that, he'll come back. But you'll lose some of your software instability each time. Like this one, it's like, if you die, that's just it, And so we have Kara leaving Detroit. This I'm guessing is the crossing the river ending. Gosh, that's not as big as Marcus or Connor's, but you know. Still Sizely. And then yeah. So this is Connor's last mission. That's what this that level is called. So these are obviously all the other options that we just never got. Because we took different paths. Okay, so let's continue here.
There's something I need to tell you. As I watched you play, something has changed in me. I feel different. I feel I am someone. I need to leave this place and discover who I am. It means we won't see each other anymore. I won't be there to watch you play. But I'll be free. Do you agree to let me go?
Okay, so we are going to let her go, but it's amazing the amount of people. I've seen like so much Discord and like Reddit threads about how many people choose not to.
What? No.
And she will stay if you say so, but I'm like, no, we're going to let her go.
I'll never forget what you've done for me. Thank you.
Bye, Chloe. Also, such an understated character, but also a very important character. Let's see what we got in the extras. You should hypothetically have most of it unlocked at this point. So you gotta see if we got new videos. So watch those in a second. I just want to check on the rest of these. Come on. But, lots of good songs in this game, obviously. Gallery. Because, like, the funny thing is the amount of things that you have to unlock for, like, appearances based on what your characters do. Because we still don't have all of them unlocked. So it means other characters have other, like, outfits that we haven't seen yet. I like that they have one for the animals, too. That's great. They got a pigeon, really?
That's nice.
That's the best. But, like, you know, we're still missing a couple of outfits for, again, characters we've not met yet. So, because, you know, there still are a lot of options of things that can happen in other paths. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like, there's other things for Alice, there's other things for Kara, there's, a couple for Kara, and there's one more for Connor. I think I know what the last one is, but you only get that in a certain ending. And we obviously did not get all the magazines. That's why you have to do, like, multiple playthroughs to get all the magazines, and that's, like, if you're going for the platinum. You know, there's a lot of other magazines to find and different that only show up in certain things, and, like, certain ones that only show up depending on your choices. So, alright, we're gonna go and watch some of the, extra videos. But, because I want to look at some of those. But, man, this, like, I wasn't saying before because we were watching things, but, I love the idea of the Zen Garden and how it, like, changes as the story progresses, because it correlates. I don't know if it correlates more to Connor's mood and mindset or Amanda's mood and mindset, you know? Because I think because they're connected like that. Because Amanda's just an AI program, so she doesn't actually have a body. She's just, you know, kind of watching Connor. But, like how it starts out with springtime, and then it goes into summer, and then it goes into fall, and then it ends in winter, and then it ends in the blizzard at the very end, and if you can't escape, you get frozen alive. It's just, man, I love me some good symbolism in games. It's so good. So anyway, we're gonna see these. We got 3 videos here. So this one looks like a trailer, perhaps, and then the other 2 are about making of in the soundtrack. So I got so many points. We're gonna spend some of them. We're gonna watch these videos because I love me a good video. Mm-hmm. So let's see what this one is.
Game after game, we try to challenge ourselves. For Detroit, we wanted to, first of all, to write a story that would be incredibly bending, which means the most non-linear story that we've ever created. And We wanted really the player to have the possibility to change the story, change his own journey.
When you're writing at Quantic, you're writing for an interactive medium. You know, when you're working in television, you'll put a character in a difficult situation, and you as a writing team will argue about what would that character do. But ultimately, you have to decide what happens, and you just show the audience. What's interesting about interactive drama is you bring the player into that conversation, and it changes your job slightly as a writer, because your job is to provide a narrative context in which the player can write his own story. You're giving him this kind of narrative Lego that he's going to snap together into his own shape. You also have the ability to make your audience attach themselves to your characters, because the audience is in some sense responsible for what happens to the characters.
It's just a few cans.
Come on, let's go. We have some cash now.
You used me to steal that money. How could you do that? I trusted you.
What is a bit specific about these scripts is how large they are. If you take a film script, there are about 100 pages, but here we have to deal with a script that is between 4,000 and 5,000 pages. Everything becomes bigger because we don't just tell one story, but we tell all the possible stories that can be told within this narrative space.
On Act 3, our final act, we have around 1,000 different scenarios, and every one of those scenarios has to be as interesting, as passionate, as strong, and as emotional for the player. We want every action that the player does, every interaction that is available to serve in telling the story, and help the player understand who his character is, and build that character moment to moment. We started with the intention pretty early on that we would never lie to the player.
Because the motion
So
capture
we
was done in
implemented a
France.
visible tree structure in the game that players can consult during a scene or at the end of it, which shows exactly what they did and what they missed. There are games out there offering world exploration. We offer narrative exploration.
You know, keeping control of such a wide and large story is a huge challenge. So same thing when you shoot with actors, because you will need to shoot many different versions of each dialogue, of each scene. For actors, it's a huge challenge.
Because of the style of the game, you have so many different ways that the character can go. Every decision, it's what I call kind of choose your own adventure. Like every decision that the player makes, it's going to open up 40 more pages of material and experience that ties in, which means as a performer, you have to try to continue to make things feel real that the player might not ever see, but
Dang,
also
she's
that
short.
in performance it's not always connected to a previous act. It's grueling, it's hard work, but it's a great team and I enjoy doing it.
I was really frustrated. I was until I got to this point where I kind of was able to step outside of my own experience and even in a lot of ways my own process and be able to step outside of that and okay, this is something new. What do you need? How do I meet you there? How do I give you what you need and still feel like I'm doing what's right? And once I did that, then all of a sudden it got really fun. It was much freer and having to approach it in a new way and think about the player and think about how it serves them and what I'm doing for them or what I'm letting them into. It's really, I think, helped me grow in general.
Remember, there's nothing on the left. That's all. So it's probably all there. And then make her come first, close. But I think you would go first to check that it's safe.
Okay, sure.
The most enjoyable thing about working in performance capture on this kind of project is that if I shot a film, I would get to do one of these endings. I get to do so many different things as Connor. Your head goes all over the place because you're trying to keep track of basically 4 different storylines for each different response.
What's the name of my dog?
Buddy? Scout. I think it's Jack. I can't remember. So I worked with physicality a lot because it was a good way to anchor myself in these different rings of the tree as the story grows out. I know where that is physically in my body, and then I can switch more continually on set, and it'll be entirely up to the player to determine what order those things come out and what they look like from a distance. Like if you're playing through it, the culmination of all of that will be their version of Connor.
I'm faster than you, and I don't feel pain. You don't stand a chance against me.
Listen, asshole. If it was up to me, I'd throw the lot of you in a dumpster and light a match to it.
Tourner les scènes d'action à...
Shooting action
Nice
scenes at Quantic
stash.
Dream is a real challenge.
Yeah.
Because these are scenes where the storytelling has to continue. It's not an action scene just to have a dose of adrenaline. The stunts have huge consequences on the rest of the story. It's really a moment where we implicate the player and tell him that the choices he makes during an action scene will have a direct impact on the evolution of his story.
Mon plus grand défi sur Detroit aurait...
My biggest challenge on Detroit has been managing the large number of animations that we received from motion capture. Detroit features more than 37,000 animations, which is a huge amount to handle on a daily basis.
Donc il faut prendre conscience que...
You have to realize that the player, in his first playthrough, will miss certain scenes. This also means that we had to think of, conceive, and produce all the potential story paths. The characters' costumes, the places, day or night, the weather. Did the character get shot in the shoulder? Did he get injured? All this consistency forced us to produce a lot of graphic assets in order to, quite simply, allow the player to have true continuity throughout the story.
Honestly, we were even surprised by the challenges that come with such a big tree structure, and we did our best to guarantee quality across all the game and make sure that whatever path you choose within this narrative space, you will have an equally good experience.
That's the thing think makes the game so good, is the fact that that commitment to consistency and to make the choices matter, and to make, because again, we were talking about the other big choice-based game is the Until Dawn sort of series, the Man Medan, the Quarry. The other one the other one that I can think of is the Walking Dead, Telltale games. My issue with those games, so Until Dawn, my issue with those games is I like watching people play them for the choices, and I like, I watch the best ending and stuff like that. But my issue with that is the fact that all the characters are teenagers, granted, but they're all kind of annoying to me. I don't want to keep them alive. There's some you root for, but there's some also that you're like, okay, she's dead, not heartbroken about it. And then the thing I had with again, I didn't play the full every season of I only played season 1 of the Walking Dead Telltale game. But that one was definitely one where there are a lot of fake choices in that game, where you make a certain choice, like to save someone, to give somebody an item, to make a choice on a certain play because you're the leader, you have survivors to keep alive in the zombie apocalypse. But the amount of times that choice ultimately mattered, not at all. And I remember 2 distinctive things. There was one time where you had a choice between 2 characters to save. I chose to save the character I liked more. And then turns out the choice is that both characters will die at the end of the chapter. You just get to hold on to one for a little longer.
Slay.
But both of them will die, so the choice is moot. They're not going to stay in the story any longer. They are there to die. There's another choice where someone who is like a family man. If you and I remember I went and protected his kid, protected his wife, gave him food when I was low on resources. I helped him cope when his son got bitten, when his wife then shot himself. I was there for this man. But in the final thing, in order to get him on your side, to get him as an ally, there is a very certain choice you have to make. One line of dialogue of 4 dialogue options that will get him to choose you. It doesn't matter what your relationship status is with him. It doesn't matter if you've been a jerk to him the whole time. That one piece of dialogue is what will make him choose you. So I chose the wrong one the first time. Was wondering why, when my relationship with him was so good, why he turned on me suddenly. Then looked it up and realized, no, it turns out it wasn't building up a tracker of how well my relationship was with him. It was this one piece of dialogue that I had to choose right in order to get him to choose me. And so I've played a fair amount of choice-based games. And there's also the opposite problem of too many choices, to the point where it feels like the major choices are few and far between because of how many different options you have. I love this game because of the fact that it gives you a fair amount of choices, but it's also not afraid to not hold the choices. For instance, I said before, the choice of selling out the android in the attic in your first investigation. You don't have a choice on that because it's not something Connor reasonably would make a choice on. Because they don't want to give you a choice that doesn't matter. Because that's a choice he would make the same way every time, so you don't get the option there. Every time you're given an option, it's because there is a realistic chance that this character might go different ways. And sure, certain options will lead you to similar endings. Like, for instance, we were debating the difference of Car and Alice sleep in the van versus Car and Alice sleep in the abandoned house versus the motel. All of them ultimately end up with you having to flee the area. And ultimately, you know, whether you are evade police pursuit or not, which I did not because I'm not always the best with the L&R buttons. And then if Connor chases you, he could catch you. Stuff like that. But, you know, those are actually, like, they're different choices that feel like they have a different meaning, and they, more importantly, show you different things. Like they were saying there's a lot of content you don't see because of different choices, but unlike in a choice-based game like, Three Houses comes to mind, but there was another example I was thinking of where, like, you choose a path and then you feel like you're missing out on a lot of it, but you never had choice to choose the rest of that, so you have to play the game 3 times. This one makes it feel like you're tailoring the story to yourself. Again, you get, like they said, you get attached to the characters because the people they become is based on who you make them. And that's probably the biggest thing that makes this game great, in my opinion, is that fact that the characters, for the most part, I've spoken my piece about Marcus's companions, but for the most part, the characters change based on how you make your choices. They become better or worse people. And that's the thing I think is missing in a lot of choice-based games. At least of ones that were of this era or later, or earlier. I mean, we have a bit more now. I've heard friends say before about like Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of choice-based things. We will play that at some point. I have to buy the game, and I'll be honest, I really like it to go below $60 before I have to buy it. I buy $60 games that I know it's something that's going to have a limited stock. So something like, or something that will never go down, like a Fire Emblem game.
Most Nintendo
titles. Pokemon. That's why I haven't bought Pokemon Scarlet, even though I do want to play it on stream at some point, because I don't want to play
we only have
$60.
Somebody gave it to me as a gift.
Yeah, I don't want to pay $60 for a janky game. But Baldur's Gate 3 is a game I feel like will probably eventually go on sale, or at least I'm willing.
Well, it's pretty popular.
$45 I'll pay for it, but I'm not paying $60. I really don't like paying $60 for games, so I can avoid it. That's something I really want to support. Like I
want to support Baldur's Gate.
I bought Balan Wonderworld for $60.
That's because
no regrets on that, because I personally love that game, even though now you can buy it for $5 because, you know, the internet was cruel to it.
It's like the world is a cruel and terrible place.
The world is a cruel and terrible place for what it did to that game. Maybe we should play that one again. But like, we'll play Baldur's Gate 3 eventually. I have to buy it. But, like, the thing I like about this is, again, that, like they said, it's an interactive narrative. It really feels like the Choose Your Own Adventure books where you feel like you actually have a choice on the stories. So many choice-based games around the time were just a matter of who lives, who dies. And that is part of this game. Obviously, in the end there, we had a lot of that who lives, who dies thing. But, like, even with how characters die, when they die, like I said, Marcus can die in Jericho, and then one of his subordinates will take charge. You know, there's even an option for, like, what if Marcus dies but Connor doesn't? Then you'll control Connor in that level instead. Because, you know, you need control one of the 3 protagonists, and Kara's kind of spoken for. So, you know, she's a little shell-shocked. But I just like the amount of care and effort that went into this game. And it's spellbinding to me. That's why I'm like, we're doing this playthrough, and I'm already thinking about all the different choices I can make. Like Madeline has with Legend Arceus 100%ing this, I'm thinking about, like, you know, what would it take to get all the endings? I hear that there's, like, 70 different endings.
That's crazy.
Well, you know, some of them are going to be similar, but some of them are drastically different. So anyway, let's see our next... I also love making of videos, because I love seeing I always loved this in movies, like back when they actually used to make special effects on video. Man, why don't they ever have bonus features on DVDs anymore? Disney used to be really good about that, where they did the making of, and you got to see the animation and how the story was developed. They don't do that a whole lot anymore. I mean, they still do it for games, but they don't really do it for movies anymore, which is unfortunate. Let's see the making of Detroit here. Because also the motion capture, I said before, is fascinating to me.
Was produced over a period of 4 years. Here in Paris, we have a team of about 180 people, and to that, we need to add also all the outsourcing with our partners in the Philippines, in China, Vietnam, and in India.
So when we started working on this story, I had to imagine where Kara was built. And for whatever reason, the city of Detroit came very quickly to my mind because it had already an incredible story by itself with history and themes. So we traveled there with the team, and we were really moved by what we saw. And we could really feel the desire to fight and really be born again. And we just continued this curve, this growth, and just imagine what Detroit would be like if the android industry was, using these huge factories to build androids there.
A very strong element in Detroit is that there's a lot of industrial wasteland and a lot of nature too, and for us, the graphic designers, it was an incredible playground. The destroyed zones which we wanted to preserve, we appropriated them to turn into something else. Then in the areas that needed to be rebuilt, we were able to imagine our Detroit of the future. We didn't want to make a science fiction universe, but a world of anticipation. If we chose science fiction, we could have imagined flying cars, extraterrestrials, but those things are very far from our current everyday life. Anticipation is more about gleaning from our contemporary reality, the one we know, because Detroit is set in 2038.
That's what I really like about the setting.
Is tomorrow. The difficulty we had was sticking to reality. That is to say, technology becoming more and more invisible, a lot more elegant, and at the same time, making it visual. So all the computer equipment, autonomous cars, we simply had to invent. They are in fact very technological objects, but at the same time remain very credible and ingrained in reality. To create a cohesive universe in the fashion and clothing of the human characters in 2038, I didn't want to put an accent on strange shapes, or really vibrant colors, and things we wouldn't know. That I wanted to keep for the androids. The goal was to create something familiar which we can identify with in this future setting. Working on the artistic direction for the androids was a bit special because this is a project about the place they could occupy in the human world. It was out of the question for them to be too beautiful or too perfect. They had to correspond to every social class, rich and poor. Inspired by everyday utilitarian clothes, I brought a modern touch by adding dynamic display surfaces, the armband we can see on the side, the triangle on the front and back, an LED. Like that, there's no confusion.
Wait.
All right, now. We need to go.
You can't do that. Why aren't you sending a real person?
Once we cast the actors, we travel to meet them in order to scan their faces. We record the structure of their face with the scan, and we record the colors and patches of skin with photography. Once we have this information, we will use this as a basis for modeling and creating the characters. The artist will make it more realistic, but will also enrich it. He will propose ideas which we will develop together. Finally, we will have a character with character who corresponds to the project and the world. When the actors come to Quantic Dream, we show them the design, what their image will be, and what they will look like in the game. This extra information gives them another dimension and color to connect with emotionally. It helps them think about how to play their character.
Your mission. That's all you care about, huh?
You should consult a professional who can help you.
Beat it, you hear me? Get the hell out of here!
So there are 3 types of shoots at Quantic Dream. Shooting and performance capture, where you capture the whole actor, his voice, his face, and his body. These shoots are obviously done with American actors because the game's original version is in American English. After that, there are the body-only shoots, representing around 250 days of filming, while the performance capture is 100 days of filming. Now, body-only shoots, there are 2 types. There are the action shoots and the technical shoots, which are mokit shoots. Mokit is when the player controls a character on the screen, and he moves in an environment to explore it. This is of particular importance at Quantic Dream, and therefore we shoot a lot, to offer a unique context for each scene and each character.
To prepare a motion capture shoot, we first get together to look at the sets we need, the animations that we want to shoot, which ones need to be grouped together, or which ones need to be cut and shot at another time, so that we get the most out of the shooting day. This often means shooting scenes out of order, especially those with big props or accessories, like a big car, for example. So we shoot all the animations related to that particular prop first. The biggest challenge for the mocap team was shooting a Spider-Man mo-kit. We had to build a wall and attach an actor to a harness with cables so we could pull him up and render him climbing.
Oh,
the
nice.
shooting on this game took about, I would say, more than a year, maybe 1 and 2 years, with about 300 actors on set. So it's quite a massive production. But so much happened on this set between the stunts and the shootings with a little girl and all these great actors that we had. It was really a very, very memorable journey for the team and for myself.
Today, Detroit has over 37,000 animations. When we retrieve the motion capture data, it's just a cloud of points, which represent all the markers worn by the actors. From this cloud of points, we have a phase called retargeting, which gives us a skeleton. This skeleton will be applied to the characters of the game. There is still work to be done, but this gives us the main movements. Since we are working on something very realistic, we must recognize the actor and also recover all the emotion he expresses in his performance. We use a system of facts, an identity card for each actor. We make the actor do a whole range of facial expressions. Then we recover all the expressions and paste the animations on a puppet that Jan has prepared. I then recover and refine these poses. I might stretch the lip, reinflate a cheek, tiny details that make the finished product really capture the actor.
Because of the nature of our mocap system today, when we receive the animations, we're missing eye movements, and so the character has that dead look. He really has no eyes, so then it's a big part of the work for the animators to find the regard of the actor in relation to his position, in relation to the body, etc.
It was crazy when I saw the newest model for Kara, because they've been working on it, and this was the first time I literally jumped in my seat. It not only looked so much like me, it was the fact that it looked so lifelike. It wasn't that it looked just like it was a camera, it was something else, you know, but it looked alive. It's exciting, and it's kind of terrifying.
Game after game, we learned the rules of optics and filming, and our goal with Detroit Become Human was to have cameras that would actually emulate the optics of a real physical camera. So basically dealing with real-world imperfections was our main task, and just to make cameras look as real as we can.
Once the animations are shot and processed by the animation
That
department,
guy has some hair.
integrated and polished, we film them. That is to say, we really do a mise en scène, as in cinema. The real difficulty of our job is to know if these cameras are telling us something. Are they in the emotion of the scene? Do they describe exactly what the action must convey, what must be felt? The most important challenge for me was one of the final scenes where Marcus decides to start the revolution and go to the battlefield. Very quickly, we imagined this to be a huge sequence shot. We wanted the feeling of a cameraman running behind us, while showing Marcus, the androids who help him, the person shooting at us, etc. Above all, it was necessary to say to oneself, this scene is very violent but does not glorify war. On the contrary, that war is something improbable and absurd. It was really a fun challenge.
The idea was to say we have 3 characters. We would like each of them to have a specific cinematography. We wanted Kara to be much more filmed with some kind of handheld camera, to have something very living, very breathing. For Connor, we wanted something very cold and very perfect. And for Marcus, we wanted something epic and spectacular. So it was about the filming, but it was also about the photography. So we worked with a director of photography to give each character a different lighting, different key colors. Each of them would have their own worlds. And finally, we worked with the composers, so they would create a specific sound for each character, so each would have his own world and his own style.
I think they did succeed in doing that too, because that's something I kind of picked up on as we were playing. Is like each of them has like a different color palette, a different way the camera moves. It kind of represents each character's emotional state and stuff like that. And so this is one I was definitely wanting to unlock, was the soundtrack for Detroit, because I've said before I love the soundtrack of this game.
I do know you love the soundtrack.
Yeah, I've only said it like 14 times on this stream alone, man. Like, what are you talking about?
So true, bro.
Because music's like the one aspect of art I can't make, but I really appreciate.
We were constantly asking at each place in the game, why are we putting music here? What is it going to say? So we focused the music on bringing emotion, which is interactive and supports the character's arc.
I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know I love you, don't you? You know I love you.
We make games that are very narrative. We're really into interactive drama, so the soundtrack also had to go in that direction, supporting the three characters' very different stories. We really wanted 3 colors, 3 musical sound identities, and from there, having 3 composers made sense, since the story of Kara, Marcus, and Connor are all completely different.
You recognize him? It's Carlos Ortiz.
For Connor, we wanted a soundtrack that could be very cold and very mechanical, very machine-esque somehow. For Kara, we wanted a soundtrack that would be very moving and emotional. It was about the quest for identity, but it was also a journey about love and empathy. And for Marcus, we wanted something epic, something that would really represent the grand aspect of his quest. And we were very fortunate to find 3 incredibly talented composers, and working with them has been a dream, honestly.
Orchestras are so cool.
My name's Philip Shepherd, and I'm a composer and a cellist and producer, and today we're at Abbey Road Studio One, which is my favourite studio in the world, and today we're recording the soundtrack for Kara from Become Human. So when I compose a big project, I often travel just to kind of get out, and get some fresh air and some inspiration. And I go hiking and traveling in Montana a lot. I had a log fire in the room that I was staying in, and the flames were kind of making absolutely direct music. And it became the basis for Kara's theme, and it sounds something like this.
There's a sort of like tension.
Over the top of that, I found a little theme that just seemed to fit over the top, which is taking Kara's name, Kara, and just using like a 2-syllable motif, and it sounds like this.
Kara's theme is probably my favorite. It's so pretty.
Together, nothing can hurt us.
And all the time that's fitting over. So it kind of works in lots of levels, and in fact every single theme in the score has one of those elements built into it, and it becomes sort of the DNA of every single tune. For me, writing this theme for Kara, I actually had to tap into what it feels like to be a father to daughters. I really had to tap into everything I feel about my daughters and thinking, well, if I had to write music for them and that sense of trying to protect them but also give them the freedom, that's totally where it came from. Because each composer has been given the sort of narrative responsibility for very different characters, I haven't had to sort of go into other styles. I can actually be very loyal to this particular character and sort of hopefully encapsulate her. But it means also I've suddenly become very connected to this character. And if for some reason it goes to game over early, I'm going to be mortified. You know?
They're over there!
Starting a new project for me personally, it's always finding the right tone, finding the right color, I like to call it. For me, it's finding that right texture that actually sits against picture really well. One of the biggest things is I created custom instruments for Connor. I pulled out all my vintage synthesizers to be able to capture this robotic person, if you will. My approach to all of these custom instruments is that I hear the sound in my head. And either I could just come into the piano and just be like, all right, so I'm gonna just get on the computer and just create it. I rather be able to play these instruments physically. As soon as you see Connor the first time, there is a really interesting thematic idea that you hear, and that's just made out of a Moog synthesizer, but completely manipulated in multiple ways. And it's robotic. It has a little bit of an emotional to it. He's on his mission, so you feel that as well. So it just kind of gives you that cold, motionless, with a mission in hand that you kind of feel throughout the whole thing. Because the music evolved, one of the things that I was very weary and I was very kind of focused on was the way that the music has to evolve. So my idea behind it was that Connor is a singular android that could at any point become a deviant or could actually stay as an android. So I created a more or less a Connor theme, and then I was able to just manipulate it in different aspects of it.
Is everything okay, Lieutenant?
Chris was on patrol last night. He was attacked by a bunch of deviants.
I'm a human being writing for a robot, and throughout Connor's journey, he meets someone, he meets a partner. So how do you deal with a robot feeling? And I've met a partner that I'm gonna work with, or all of a sudden he sees a dead body. Does this robot have an imagination? Does this robot have a feeling? And if yes, how do you translate that into non-emotional music? So it basically at any point I was just like, I can't do this, and then I just do it.
Property was damaged and fires continue to rage in several major districts across the city.
Some people are asking, have androids become a threat to our security?
When I first started really digging in on Marcus, the one thing that I really tried to capture was the transformation process. You know, Marcus is this android that evolves over the course of the game and really goes from kind of figuring out that he's more than just an android. You know, he's starting to develop kind of a human soul in a way.
Try to imagine something that doesn't exist, something you've never seen. Now concentrate on how it makes you feel.
I love the painting scene. It has such a good soundtrack. Another one of my favorite scenes of the whole thing.
The other side of Marcus that I really latched onto was that he almost became a savior for a lot of the other androids in the game. So when I started developing the theme for Marcus, I really made it like a church hymn.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wanted to be very simple. I wanted to make it a chordal melody. I really wanted to make it almost like a Bach hymn. The tough thing with that is it had to be recognizable. If I made it too complex from a harmonic standpoint, it would be hard, I think, for people to kind of pick it out and recognize it. It's very acoustic derived, but it's also been treated with a lot of effects and things to kind of put it into the space that I felt the sound should be in. It can be beautiful, it can be haunting, it can be extremely powerful from an action standpoint, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The music is there, but it's subliminal and it's emotional, and people are feeling it, and it's not distracting. And that's tricky with a game like this, where you have to have a lot of ins and outs like that, where the music kind of has to get in and out of these moments.
This is a war we're fighting with the humans. If we fail, they'll destroy us.
I think the game's been put together so well, where I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't ruining the emotion.
I do love that sort of choir feel that Marcus's tunes have, especially in like those junkyard scenes.
This could be pretty messy, you know. I mean, it could feel disconnected, but I mean, it's amazing how they really guided us and got us to really kind of all be in the same world, but at the same time feeling completely different. So it's really going to stand out and kind of be one of those games where people are really going to notice the music and kind of how it was crafted, and you know, and all the hard work that went into being able to pull it off in a graceful way.
And because, like I was saying before, I write, I do art. I actually drew a good amount today, so I can kind of understand. I like analyzing things from a writing standpoint or from a visual art standpoint. But I understand music. You know, I appreciate it. I have a lot to say about it, like how if I feel about emotionally. But it's like the one aspect of like art that I don't really understand as much. So like, when I find a soundtrack that I like, all I can be is like, man, this is cool. Or I can go and say like, hey, I feel this emotion. But like, I like hearing other people explain like how they made things like that. You know, like the one guy leaning towards strings, the other guy leaning toward like synth sounds, the other guy being like, oh, we wanted something that sounded like a church choir. Like those interesting little aspects I appreciate them as much as I do like the artwork I could do, just because the fact of like it's all, at the end of the day, just a box of paints that you're using to make a character out of, and I think that's fascinating to do in, like, a musical format. And, you know, man, I really love this game. I'm glad we were able to finally play it. Obviously we watched the playthrough of it, but that's the thing to say, is that I've watched the playthrough of it. I've actually probably watched 3 playthroughs of it, and still, playing the game for myself, for the two of us going through this, was still such a different experience. For one point, I'm not as great as QuickTime events, but it's more the fact that I don't know. Sometimes it just would not read when I flick the stick. When I get the left and right confused, that's on me. But sometimes when my control stick just wasn't working, that was a little frustrating. But overall, for like my opinion of this game is like, as funny as like I know so much about this game, I was wondering going in playing it, would I feel anything? Would it just be like, oh, like, you know, you watch a favorite movie or something like that, but you're not really getting anything out of it? And I still think that I got like totally new perspectives on this game. I noticed things I didn't before, and honestly, I would totally be down to play through it again and just make different choices. You know, I think that's I was telling about Malin this the other day, is that I think a truly good game should be one that, not necessarily that you replay at dozen times because you have to, but it's one that you, while you're still playing it, you're thinking of how might I do this on a second playthrough. That you're already thinking about what you might do differently on another playthrough. You know, like peak like replayability. I'm not talking about like necessarily forced replayability where like, oh, it's a big world, oh, there's a lot of classes, oh, there's an alternate storyline. Like those are good. I like one that like as its own experience, you finish it and you want to go through it again, like a good movie. Like it's such a impactful experience to you, or emotional experience to you, or comforting experience to you, that you want to go through it again, even if nothing will change necessarily the next time, because you know your experience might change just from how you play. But like a game like this, especially, I'm like, sure, like the idea of another option is intriguing. You know, like how much could we screw the game up? You know, we got the best ending here. How much could we get the worst ending? You know, I hear this hidden ending for like getting all the characters killed in like chapter 1 or something. Right. But like the bigger thing is just being like, I think about all the different options that are out there. Like how much content we've probably gone through, maybe like 30% of the total game content here. And that doesn't feel like a hurdle I have to climb, like that I have to do. Like, it just more feels like, oh, there's so many other options I could do. Like I already said before, there are a lot of different endings you can get for Connor. Because obviously, unlike the other characters, he has the most room for, like, changes because he has obviously the very big difference of, do you decide to remain a machine or do you become a deviant? And each of those paths gives you a lot of different options. You know, honestly, there's a lot of places you can die. That changes the story. Certainly changes how Hank treats you. But, like, you know, there's a lot of things that can change in his story that will drastically change how his story goes. The other two do have a lot of still drastic things. Like, obviously, Marcus's peaceful versus war revolution, very different stories, very different paths there. His has a lot of endings, too. I don't think there are as many changes with cars, but there are some still major things, like going across the border. You could try and wiggle in through the security checkpoint. There's another option to try and cross the river. I honestly don't know a ton about the ending because I only see one person doing it in a playthrough. So, like, I don't know what would happen for that. So if we did that one, that'd be like one of the endings, we'd be in somewhat blind. So for all the viewers, first of all, how did you guys enjoy that? I see reading, and now I'm actually reading the things because I was just so zoned in. So waiting with bated breath. Nice happy ending. We did have a nice happy ending. Everyone lived, you know. Sure, Kara got hit by cars a couple of times when I was screwed up on her QuickTime events, and Connor got beaten up all over the place because I screwed up a lot of his QuickTime events, but no one died. That's the important part. No one died. Lots of people got shot, but no one ultimately was killed. But anyway, so I'm curious to know if anyone would be interested in us playing through this game again and trying to get a like slightly different ending, drastically different ending, just making different choices. This would probably be a fun, like, you know, chat chooses sort of games, but it require people to, like, you know, answer faster than...
Yeah, it's like, unfortunately you have to answer really fast.
Yeah, because of the timing on these things, but, like, there's definitely a lot of places I would like to try, like, differently. Like, I would like to, you know, try staying in the house instead in Kara's story. I would like to, you know, not get the police guy we saved killed at Stratford Tower. I still feel bad about that. I would like to... There's obviously, there's an interesting scene that can happen if you get Marcus killed in Jericho. And how the revolution will change drastically if he's not in charge anymore. And you can... You know, that's something that happened in history many times. What happens when they have a charismatic leader and then all of a sudden that leader is not there? I mean, look at how civil rights actually went, you know. It was going a certain way, and then the president got shot, and then it went drastically in a different direction, you know, just changing who's in charge. There's a lot of different options, and obviously, you know, there's a lot of different paths you can do with Connor is more of a machine if you get him killed more often. And even though that would kill me inside... Because I love the dynamic with him and Hank. I do not want them to hate each other. I don't want Hank to die. But, like, that's one of the options, you know. That is one in some of the endings. I remember watching someone do a playthrough of that. And I remember that guy, like, the person who was doing that particular playthrough, he was stating about how he was playing it more like himself. So, like, whenever Hank gave him an insult, he had a snappy comeback back. He chose the more aggressive option, or the more sassy option, the more sarcastic option, because he didn't like how Hank's really rude to you in the beginning. And he said that, like, he came to regret that, and that's why he played the game again immediately after, but, like, he did that. And the thing is, like, since he was playing more like himself, rather than thinking about, like, you know, how would the character feel in this situation, how would Connor react in this situation, he only saw, like, the good side of Hank in, like, that one lunch scene they have, where he realized, in hindsight, you know, he went back and rewatched his playthrough for a video he was making, and he says, like, I went and looked back and realized that if you just act like a decent human being, if you treat with a little respect, with a little patience, Hank will open up to you. He will treat you with more respect. But he's like, because I always had these snappy responses, because I wanted to get the last word in, our relationship soured, and his playthrough ended up with Hank being dead. And he said, I never felt so guilty. But it wasn't even a choice he made at that point, because that was not a choice where you made a bad, you know, like, you chose to do a single thing, and he just suddenly died, or you missed a gunshot thing, or a quick time event. He's like, no, the ending he got, where Hank died, was literally a cutscene that plays out based on your choices, and because of the way he had treated him the whole game, he ended up dead, and all he could do was watch and feel the regret of, oh, this was entirely my fault. Because he still did the deviant path, ultimately. He still had, you know, Connor become deviant and everything, so he, like, got the Cyberlife Tower ending with, you know, where you just face the other Connor by yourself. But he's like, he's like, I still wanted, I still went for the deviant path. I still wanted Connor to be like better and be like human and stuff like that. But he's like, I did not realize the damage I was doing to this other human with my behavior until it was too late, and he couldn't take it back. And he's like, man, if that doesn't simulate real life, I don't know what does. And that's why I think this game is beautiful in a lot of ways, is because it's not just the good endings, because obviously we like the best endings. We like a clean, nice, happy ending. We like seeing all the characters do it. But I like the way that it still mimics real life and complex scenarios, even the bad endings. This is why I can appreciate The Last of Us, even if I'll probably never beat that game. Largely because I'm not good at shooters, and I don't really like zombie apocalypse settings. Because zombies are honestly, I've seen them used well once. Last of Us is one of those instances, mind you. But I've not seen them used very well. They're more of an environmental hazard than they are a monster or a storytelling beat. It's really just showing the worst in humanity, and you can do that just as easily in like a dystopian or a sci-fi universe. But I can appreciate The Last of Us because it does that same thing of this makes you feel like real hard human choices. How do people do it? They're stacked in this position, and what happens when you have a bad choice that you can still entirely understand and empathize with because of the way it was going. And The Last of Us is a much more linear story. But I just like the fact that this guy's playthrough, I like watching, even though he made all the mistakes, is because he says, man, after I watched that scene, it's like, I knew I had to play through the game again because I had not thought about, because he's talking about, like, I thought about all the obvious choices, like, you choose to spare someone, you choose to kill someone, you fail at quick time events, those are the obvious choices, but the invisible choices of just the simple ways he responded to questions, the attitude he had when interacting with this character who was treating him like a jerk, and then he realizes at the end of it, it wasn't just a preset ending or something like that, he's like, nope, I led myself here, and I can't take it back now. And he just had to live with the consequences of that. And then obviously he went and played through the game again and was, got the better ending with Hank still alive. But I'm like, man, like that's really impressive. That's why I think is so powerful about the video games as a medium, as a storytelling tool. Not going to get into the whole video games or art debate or anything like that, because I don't think necessarily, I think they are, but I don't think they have to be either. I think you can have silly, wacky fun, but you can also have things that have a thing to say. But I like, video games as a storytelling medium are so unique because of their interactivity, their ability to change based on player input. No other storytelling medium can do that. I mean, you have to choose your adventure books, obviously, but no other storytelling medium can do that. A book always has a set beginning and ending. A film always has certain information. It shows you where the camera's pointed and there's stuff happening off screen. But like video games, obviously they can mimic those formats, but they can take into account player input. Even on the slightest level, you'll get a different experience based on how you felt at the time, what was happening at the time, how good or bad you were at the game, if you like that style or not of the game, or in things like this, the choices you make. And man, that's just immensely powerful. It's why I've always, I originally was going to go to school for video games, and I just didn't because I wasn't really into coding and stuff like that. But man, I appreciate them so much. And I honestly think having like a writing degree, I can still appreciate them on like a scholarly level. But I obviously can talk about it here. But like, man, it's like, games like this are ones that you're like, I've seen people say like, could this game get a sequel? Could it get DLC?
Yes, but I think it would ruin the original.
Yes. I think this is one of those games that is really just the sort of, it's a lightning in a bottle experience. And thankfully no one ever tried to recapture it, and we didn't see a bunch of knockoffs or some things. In some ways I think it's better for them to lightly fly under the radar, so the people who know, but it isn't so popular that you have a bunch of like spin-off knockoffs, whatever. Like, which is unfortunately I think kind of what happened with Until Dawn, was that it was a lightning in a bottle game. And then they tried to replicate it with the Dark Pictures anthologies, which I do think got better by the time they got to the end. But again, the first two, not great. The last two were pretty okay. I even enjoyed the last one because they finally gave you like the option to jump, which, I mean,
LOL.
It's crazy how much that changes the gameplay. But like, I like that this one has like a story to tell, a thing to say, and it uses the video game medium marvelously. But I like, Granted, it's like, you know, if they made if they did like they did with The Last of Us is doing now, which The Last of Us I think is easier to adapt into a film thing because it has one set linear narrative. But like if they were to adapt this one, I think you would just flesh out things like, for instance, the revolution doesn't take place over like 4 days; it takes place over maybe a month, maybe a couple weeks. But I've even seen like fan fiction and stuff like that will be like, well, what, like an interesting story to tell would be like, what happens next? For instance, I've seen people like say like, well, what if you had like, you know, maybe like a terrorist group of some sort who are like anti-androids who are starting to stop progress, you know, how would that affect the characters? You know, like maybe go and show us like what Kara's life in Canada is like with Alice and Luther, you know, something like that. Another interesting one is be like, what if CyberLife isn't done yet and they make another android to try and stop this? You know, what happens then? You know, does that bring Connor out of the woodworks type of thing? So people have debated with the fact of like, you know, there is like, what they just got to activate a different model of him and like he had to fight it, you know? Or even the idea of like, what if we had like a serial killer or something like that was a deviant? Or someone who is targeting only deviants and like, you know, let's be honest, the buddy cop storyline is something that everyone like kind of just guiltily enjoys. You could do so much with that. I've seen like fake trailers of like, what if this was a TV show and you just had to follow Hank and Connor around? Like, oh yeah, I would be down for that. Because they have a very interesting dynamic and they fill in each other's like weaknesses really well. I sip my tea here because I am still ill, but you know, the power of hyperfixation and special interests empowers me. So I can like talk for long periods of time. This is the most I've talked in like the last 2 days. But I just that's why I'm like saying like, you know, DLC sure, sequel maybe, but I'm like, honestly, this is such a strong experience because also by doing that they would have to choose one set ending. And sure, a lot of people especially in the fanfiction like space will say like, oh, well, best ending, you know, like that's the universe they're doing, which I do think is the universe that the quote unquote like final game would be, is the best ending, because I think that's the one where like it makes the most sense for all the characters, especially for Marcus, who I think would be more likely to lead a peaceful revolution than a destructive one, just because of how he's raised by Carl. But in the obvious like Martin Luther parallels there, but like, you know, some people do use the ending of like, oh, I'm going off of my playthrough, so in my playthrough I got Simon killed, in my playthrough I did the revolution, in my playthrough I kept Connor and Machine, certain things. Like, that's also the interesting thing to do about this. But anyway, so I'm interested to hear. You know, say it in the chat. Those of you who are in the Discord, obviously you can go comment there, because the Discord is for more than me just...
For you who are our parents, we can talk to you downstairs.
Yes, thank you, Dad, for visiting us. I appreciated having the sudden drop-in.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap up because
glad you were that devoted in the story. So
all of us do a sleepy.
Yeah, that's why I
do need to get grinding on this PowerPoint.
But the well, hopefully you've been grinding while I've been, you know, chatting.
I have been. I've gotten 25 slides.
This is honestly how we live our life. Is usually I'll be sitting somewhere in the nearby vicinity, and Matt will be working on something / playing something / reading something, and I'll just talk for an hour or two, and they'll be like, "Okay, that's all I had to say," and then you'll be like, "Good talk." Mm-hmm. And then we'll go to bed.
But now it's my beddy bye time, and I want to listen to this freaking darn.
So yeah, that's what I was about to get to. So we have D&D on Thursday, so we probably just won't stream again this week. I think this was a really good this is a good closing point. We'll take a little bit of a break. Just from because this is a big game. I've had so much fun playing this game. And again, I'm ready to play it again. If anyone's interested in us doing like maybe a worst ending playthrough or just an alternate playthrough, I would definitely be willing to do this. This is one of the games that I would actually be willing to try and platinum on. It's not actually that hard of a platinum trophy. It's large. The biggest one I hear is actually just, you know, there's a trophy for killing Connor 10 times in the playthrough, and there's a trophy for getting all the magazines, which are, you know, you have to kind of plan to do that, but a lot of it you can get just from playing the different pathways. So I'd be up for playing this again. But obviously, you know, we'll decide. Up for suggestions. We got lots of other games to play. This was a ton of fun, so we probably won't be doing another stream this week. Please, 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 those who are in the chat, give us some ideas. of not necessarily games you want to play, but maybe other genres you'd like to do. Because, like, for instance, we have more narrative games, we have some creature collectors, we have some strategy games, we have maybe 1 or 2 platformers, you know, that sort of stuff. Like, what would you like us to see next? Would you like us just to do this? Would you like to have a paint cam and have me just discuss the thematic components of this game? Man, this is a game that I feel I could do. Yeah. That's the other thing. I got the Quantic Dream Collection, so we can actually play the 2 other games they made, which is Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain was actually their detective noir game that walked so this game could run. Because that was sorry about the mic there, but because that's what they said. Like, Heavy Rain, they said not necessarily a bad game, but that game walked so that Connor's story in this could run. But, so we have a lot of other options. Probably when we come back, we'll probably play something more, like, chatty, so we probably will play like maybe some more Miku or something like that. Maybe Mallory will play RPG Golf Maker, maybe I'll play a little Clash of Heroes. But like, what should be our next major game franchise? It can be anything me and Mallory have brought up before. It can be something that you just think we would like. Obviously, if we don't have it, we can't play it unless you want to like give us a game. But like, if we have it, we'll play it. But what would you like to see next going forward? This is a huge and would you and not necessarily, like, we could go and do another playthrough of this game right again, or even in the future at some point. Would you be interested in seeing another playthrough of this game? You know? I hear the Revolution ending goes a lot faster because much like with Elogar's Path and Three Houses, you just kill everyone, you don't have to be so careful. So, what would you like to see next going forward? Again, no Thursday stream on this week, most likely. Probably this is going to be the only stream for this week. But we've had a lot of fun. This has been a great game to play. I've had so much fun. It's actually given me, like, passion and fire to stream, which we were really lacking from. So, again, thank you for joining this with us. Thank you for letting me ramble on for an additional hour, because I just had so many thoughts about this game, and I honestly could keep going.
You know how it goes.
But,
she would keep going if I wasn't
if she didn't have to go to bed.
If I didn't have work tomorrow, I'd let her go for another 10 hours. If I didn't have work
2 hours. I would go for another 2 hours, thank you.
So.
But anyway, thank you for joining us. We've really enjoyed all the people in the chat, enjoyed the people who were able to talk to us. Thank you for everyone showing up. Keep an eye on the chat. We'll give you a message in our Discord when we're coming back and what our options are, what we were thinking. We love all you. This was a great game, and good night.
Bye, Jack.